Howdy, folks. It's your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty here. And just like John Cena, you can't see me. And because of that, I'm going to switch something real quick. So hang on. Uno momento. And just listen to my voice, because welcome to the Court Martial Podcast, episode 75. And episode 75 is a big one, because episode 75 is the review, the official review for Money in the Bank 2021. That's right, Skylar and I and PC Notes JoshAgeddon all came up with our thoughts, our shimmering, shining thoughts on what was a very interesting show. And for lack of a better phrase, that's all I'm going to say at this moment. But I want to go through a couple things first, because I've got some big news to share at the end of this. And I also want to just disclose a couple things real quick right now, just as we're getting going. First of all, I've got some PC Grammar Notes. Sky is going to be joining us for this, not officially in person, but just to be watching the podcast as we display it. The second, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm trying to do the better camera angles and the better camera pixelation, but I'm running it on the same computer as iMovie. So when this plays, I'm not sure how this is going to go. Hopefully it will not lag too much, but the silver lining here is that this is going to be a very fun show. It is 2 hours and 14 minutes long. It's a long review, but when we get to the end, JoshAgeddon will have already said his piece about what this show was about. But thanks to Logic deciding not to work, we did not get to actually record our rankings, Skylar's and my own, at the close of the show. So what I'm going to do is at the very end of the show, I'm going to hopefully get Sky on to give his final thoughts. I have his ratings if we can't, so I'll still give his input right at the very end. And then I will reveal the big news, the Court Martial Podcast news that you're all going to have to pay attention to. And you're all going to have to see what goes down in that respect, because it's going to be something. And it's a big fundamental move that we're going to be making in the Court Martial Podcast as to what the structure is now, especially because the live streams definitely get a certain audience, but I still like having the edited videos. So we're going to have a little fun with that. So I hope you all be able to enjoy that and stick around to the very end. We're going to be on for some time. 2 hours along the way, Money in the Bank review. It's got the good, the bad, and the downright ugly, which is exactly how most WWE pay-per-views go. So enough of me blabbing. Let's hear more of me blabbing along with a co-host here. Here is our Money in the Bank 2021 review. And you're going to see a lot of the ins and outs here, because I'm going to have to do a little maneuvering. And hopefully that will be enough. And I am going to turn this up. Unfortunately, what I cannot do is put the speaker on this, otherwise it will lag. So hopefully this will be enough, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it. And welcome once again to another spectacular edition of the Court Martial Podcast. I am your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty, here to review Money in the Bank 2021. And with me, as always, is the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, the Bay Area Brawler himself, Skylar Greenberg. How you doing, my man?
It's good to be back with people in the audience and not fucking TV screens.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. I think Drew said it best. I think that that it'll be nice never to hear the words Thunderdome ever again.
And the crowd cheered for it.
And I cheered for it, because that really was what a difference it made. But we will get into that. We have got a crazy show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. My views, Skylar's views, and of course, we couldn't do it without this guy. This was going to be a one-off thing. Remember that? It was only to do this once. Well, guess what, folks? Wouldn't you know who won the pony? Roll his damn intro.
It's time for JoshAgeddon's Notes of the Week. It's time for his Notes of the Week. Oh, yeah.
Ding dong, the dome is dead. Ding dong, the dome is dead. May it rest, May it rest in piss and never be seen or heard from ever again. Anyway, greetings.
John, why are you talking like one of Joshua's relatives?
Well, because it's JoshAgeddon prop. Well, let me continue his intro and I'll tell you exactly how it's all going down. Anyway, greetings, ladies and tapeworms. It is proper PC Grammar Notes Joshua. Back at it again, motherfucker. These are my notes which contain highly flammable thoughts and opinions on WWE's Money in the Bank. Shorty, what you drank? I drank Monster, and I'm sure you're surprised. 2021. However, Sean, I'm throwing a bit of a monkey wrench into these here proceedings. Yeah, so am I, buddy. Take it away, Skylar, you scandalous Jezebel.
Skyler's dumbass boy. That's right, dude. The dude ass. I'll see you, Sean. Past me,
Keep going. Keep going. We love you, buddy.
No. I'm gonna read it in the whole place.
That's fine.
That up.
That's fine. That was funny, though.
Over on TAW Gaming. Subscribe or you're a real bitch. I'll tongue punch you brown eye. Skylar and Sean copies of my notes. I survived between two people because of socialism, because of anything. It's not sharing, it's sharing. Before we begin, and you go back over to Sean, I have a quick test for you, Skylar. Say, in big, bold letters, Uragi.
Well, thoughts on the pre-show. I believe that's where he's leading us to. And he did. And he said in the, I think it's worth noting here, he said, bet he'll mispronounce Uranagi again.
I said it correctly this time. So you can go shut up, you piece of shit.
Now, here's his thoughts on the pre of shows. I love it when bad behavior is rewarded, don't you? Hell, I bet when Jimmy finally mows down a family of 4, Vince will throw in the Intercontinental title as well. Good job, WWE. Good job. Now, that's all he's got for the pre-show. So let's first start. Bringing it back here, now that we've had our fun. Let's get back to the serious matters. The pre-show.
The pre-show.
So, before we even get into that, what were your overall thoughts of this pay-per-view, Sky?
This pay-per-view is why I love WWE and why I hate WWE.
Agreed.
Because it has everything that I would love as a wrestling promotion and everything I hate as a wrestling promotion.
True. It's really, I don't really say it better. This, to me, Money in the Bank 2021 was a great indicator of that things are just like they were before the pandemic started. Pretty much. It's this, you get the same kind of show every time. You get some real good some hot garbage. You get some good wrestling with some garbage finishes, and then you get a really spectacular match and a really nice moment near the end, or there's a nice moment popped in the middle somewhere. It's always like the very bottom and the very top. Like, you get the whole spectrum on that show. And that's exactly what Money in the Bank was for me. Now,
True.
The pre-show. We have first match. It is the Usos versus Ray and Dominic Mysterio. And the first thing I wrote down in my notes is, well, this can't possibly be worse than last year. And then Ray and Dominic exited the Aztec CGI and walked through a portal for their entrance.
They had the weirdest green screen bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life.
See, this is the problem with WWE format. Their production is so well put together that they don't know when to stop. They don't know when the line should be drawn where enough is too much. You know, it's like... And they always go in like this, and it took a lot away from me even getting invested in this match for a long time.
Couldn't they have just done the thing where they have the entrance and the two of them jump through, like when Ray did his debut?
Yeah, and it was
make more
glittering.
sense with the portal hopping.
And it was like a glitter thing too. It like totally did not. I don't know. It just that kind of CGI crap they're starting to add in. It just doesn't do it for me. I know, and I'm old school. You know, everyone knows that I'm more an old school guy. It just, you know, I don't mind the graphics in the entrances, like when they're large and kind of projected, hovering above. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But,
No.
No, I really don't.
Some of those were really, really bad, and we will mention
Some of them are. Some of them are, but there are others that are fine. Like the flip flop one was dumb.
But okay. We'll save that for when we get to that fucking entrance.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
We'll have several things to say about it.
We'll get there.
This tag team match was good, but it shows how broken tag team wrestling is in WWE. Sean, I hate you. Because now that you show me that the backslap tag exists. I never.
You can't unsee
I'm paying attention to it, and I can't not notice it.
You can't unsee it.
One legitimate tag in this match.
Isn't it the
All
worst?
of them were backslaps or arm tags.
It's the worst. And that's why the revival, not revival, that's why back when FTR actually was a coherent tag team and was able to wrestle tag team matches on a tag team show, on a tag team program, they were some of the best, because I never saw that with them. But this is just tag team wrestling in a nutshell. It's those kind of fundamentals have been lost. And speaking of fundamentals, dear God, Dominic is greener than I thought he was.
I'm actually going to say this. I think he looked better than he has in the past.
That's sad. I mean, for someone who's been in the ring for that long, it kind of seems like he may not be taking to the business as naturally as everyone may expect.
But again, part of it is that they didn't get the match experience. That's just because last year was basically a wash. So he would have spent the last maybe 2 years wrestling on the house show circuits, getting that experience. It's lost opportunity, and that's one of the things that's kind of not talked about with this pandemic, because we basically lost house shows and we lost a lot of wrestling for the last year and a half. People are not going to get the match times they need, and Dominic is one of them.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the booking is not helping him. What the fuck ever.
No, obviously not. And that's for anybody. You could click any member of the roster out of the hat. You could say that for pretty much anyone except maybe like the main event. But this, here's the thing that it was like. So they started with this. Here's my one pot shot at Jimmy. I'm only going to take one, and then I'm going to leave it alone. Here's my notes say. So they decided that Jay had to distinguish himself by having red hair, and Jimmy had to have the grill, because they always need a way to distinguish each other. So here's my question. Did Jimmy buy that grill with what was left of his bail budget? Or does he have a separate bank account for that? Because it seems like that would be better to have just money set aside for all right, I get a DUI, I pay with this bank account, I have this saved away, like rainy day fund. I don't know.
Rainy day fund or booze fund. Whatever you want to use it for.
Yeah. So whichever, I don't know the logistics of that. Somebody may explain. That's it. We had a collar and elbow tie-up counter on this show per request of JoshAgeddon. And did we get one in this match, Skylar?
I hope we did.
We sure did. We did. This was mad. We got one collar and elbow tie-up.
One collar and elbow tie-up.
Yes. 1 for 1. And through this match, I noticed that Pat he made a comment that I noticed and picked up on, which I think is a really good point as to why people don't like Michael Cole. So Michael Cole says something along the lines of something about people would say that the Usos have been doing lackey work or being pricks or whatever the case may be, and Pat McAfee is like, well, that's kind of a cheap shot. And Michael Cole says, well, I didn't say it. Said many people said it. And Pat's like, well, you made it sound like you said it. It was your opinion. You delivered it like it was your opinion. And it made me really think of how Michael Cole does that because it's the way that he's actually written. Because he's trying to get the point across as to why people shouldn't like the heel, but the way that he's saying it, and the way it comes across, makes him sound disingenuous because he's making it sound like other people are mad at him, but it's coming off like he's mad at him.
I get what you mean. Like, Pat McAfee is weird. Like, he shouldn't be this good at commentary.
He's terrific. He has made WWE commentary actually halfway palatable. That's saying something.
Not only that, but it feels like Michael Cole has been rejuvenated. I don't know what it is, but he's feeding off of the energy of Pat McAfee, and that's really helped him.
Honestly, I won't disagree with you on that. I do like the chemistry that Pat McAfee and Michael Cole have, even though Michael Cole is horrifically scripted.
I mean, yeah, but I like it because, again, Pat McAfee plays the funny man to Michael Cole's straight man.
Right, but it's not. It doesn't feel as sticky or confrontational the way that Corey Graves is. You know, because Corey Graves is always sounding like he's being condescending toward whoever it is that's making the statement. Per him and Byron all the time for eternity. And
no doubt.
But anyway, this match goes on. I really like the double catch when Dominic goes for the splash and the Usos catch him and just swing him into the barricade.
Yep, that was a good spot.
It was a nice little spot. Weirdly, I didn't feel like the Mysterios were very well cheered during this match.
It feels like the Usos got the bigger reaction.
Yeah, pretty much the whole time. And it kind of, I don't want to say it took away from the match, but it definitely changed the tone of what we were watching.
It's weird. Like, I know Rey Mysterio is in the twilight of his career, and he's not the star he used to be, but he should still be getting cheers. I know the audience was still filing in, so they weren't all there.
Yeah.
But, like, Rey and Dominic, I don't know if it's an indictment on Dominic and the fact that they haven't done anything with him to make him likable, but they should be at least cheering Rey, especially because they're in Texas. And Texas is big Latino territory.
Yeah, I had some issues with Fort Worth on this night. There were some good and some bad, as is most WWE crowds. But
this crowd, though, definitely felt smart.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting bunch. It had its high points, it had its low points. And then there was this moment where Pat, I don't know whether, I forgot what it was, like a double team, I think, on Rey, where somebody got hit in the groin. And Pat said, he just got hit in and then he like paused for a second and said, hips. And Michael Cole's like, good save. And then Pat McAfee actually openly said and admitted, it's because of Peacock. It's because we're on Peacock. I'm like, that's sad. You couldn't say the word groin. You couldn't even mention the genital regions. And you think that JoshAgeddon killing Keebler elves is bad. I'm just saying. That's some next level censorship, yo.
Maybe the elves worked for Peacock before they worked for us.
Yeah, well, they must, because they're certainly doing their job. But in any case, then the Usos, of course, get the heat. I always love their tributes to Umaga. Every time they do them, I don't care when and where. I love it when those two tribute Umaga because I love Umaga.
Yes, Umaga and Rikishi were both well represented in this match.
Yes, for sure. And that's also what I love about this whole bloodline that you've got with Roman Reigns and the Usos is they're always an acknowledgement of the fact that the bloodline has been in professional wrestling, in WWE, forever. And they're not afraid to use the history to accentuate their standing and what they're capable of doing.
That is true. Now, this will come up again later on during the main event, but there is a question that does need to be asked at the main event. But we'll get there when we get there.
Yes. What do you think of the finish?
Could have been better.
Yeah, it was.
it felt out of nowhere because it was like Ray hits his big 619, and then after Jimmy Uso saved Jay, and then Ray tries to get the pin and almost does it, and Jay kicks out, and then Jay hits the frog splash and Ray kicks out, and then they go for the double frog splash. Dominic stops Jimmy. Jay hits Dominic. Then Jay rolls up Ray, and Jimmy helps out, and it just felt out of nowhere.
It was okay. If they were going to do a finish like this, I guess it's better it was on the pre-show. You know, it's fine because you cheated to win. I thought that when I first saw the finishing, you know, the taking the bullet for the 619 spot, I wasn't sure whether it had landed. I thought it was a weird spot, but then they did the replay afterwards, and that was much better. That kind of clarified that he did actually get in the way before that happened, and that was really nice. It was a weird spot, but it was a good idea. I thought it was funny that the Usos cheated and got a babyface pop.
Again, the 4-4 Texas crowd was weird tonight.
We're in Bizarro world, and it's not Toronto, ladies and gentlemen. And this was a decent match, but this title switch was a must-do because personally, I was really, really not impressed with Dom at all. I think he's still way too green. His punches leave a lot to be desired. His hip tosses and arm drags and all of his, like the lucha stuff he's doing, it all just looks clunky and slow, and he looks nervous. And it's like there's a lot to be desired from Dominic, and I'm not sure having the belt now is really a good option for him. So this was really a must-do.
You can see the potential in Dominic. He very much does have the same type of wrestling that his dad does, except he's a little bit bigger. But my God, he needs so much more experience.
He needs work.
When he was running those ropes,
bad.
You could tell that he hadn't done it enough times to be able to make it look natural. I agree. Dominic is not a natural worker. That's not a bad thing. No, but it also means that he's going to be slow in picking up the subtle nuances of professional wrestling.
Yeah, if they even teach them anymore, which is also concerning.
Yes, because as you kept saying, the fucking backslap tags.
Yep. All of and then a lot of those were easy ones that you could have easily just flip the hand up. It's so simple. It's the thing. It's like it's so simple. It's such a small detail. It's like how could you not bother with that? So would you like to start the show?
Now that we're done with the
now that we've warmed you up for what you could expect. So, we start out with Greg the Hamwich Hamilton, who is the actual worst. I have nothing else to say about this.
I'm not getting involved in this feud between you and Hamilton.
I have nothing else to say about that. It's just Hamilton is the absolute worst. And I'm starting to realize, I was going to mention this later when they do the in-ring introductions for the title matches. I'm starting to realize why it is that I don't like in-ring intros anymore. And I think it's because of how over-the-top cartoony all of the announcers in professional wrestling are right now. Greg Hamilton, the other WWE guy whose name escapes me at the moment, Justin Roberts. There is not a regular just sounding dude among the three of them. They all have to be Michael Buffer light. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And it just makes it feel cartoony instead of having the gravitas that a title match introduction should have.
And by the way, to answer your question, his name is Mike Rome.
Mike Rome. Good to know that you're a person. So,
but that's the problem with Mike Rome. It's like he's so generic and so uninteresting. And then Greg Hamilton goes in the complete opposite direction by being way too fucking energetic.
Yeah, it's just... It's not worth it. It's just bad. It's just, I really do feel like
But speaking of bad, the first entrant for the women's match is Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, we're at the women's Money in the Bank, ladies and gentlemen. And, boy, you are not going to like my opinion of this match. And I have a feeling that you will not like the opinion of JoshAgeddon either. And what did you think of this match?
I feel like we've said it every time that the women have had a specific match that was for them, that was trying to be equal opportunity, just like Survivor Series, just like the Royal Rumble. the women's talent is not good enough to carry a match type of this level. And until they have that talent, they shouldn't have matches like this.
I agree.
I'm sorry that all the equal opportunity people there.
Yep.
But the talent of the women's roster is still too thin.
Yep.
Unless you have a horsewoman or one of the Mae Young Classic girls, you can't have this type of match.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I 100% agree. And the big part of it is, it's just, if you're not going to make it look good, don't do it at all. That's my deal. And it's like, and this is a case where I genuinely, the edge, usually, I'm not one of those guys, every time that we have a gimmick show that has two gimmick matches on it, one obviously dilutes the other. And I feel that a little bit, but sometimes not all the time. There's one that is clearly superior, as was the case tonight. But this match specifically made me really took the edge off how good the second match was, because of how embarrassing this match was. I don't think there is a redeeming quality I can come up with as far as this matchup is concerned.
Not to mention the fact that there were production things they did this show which annoyed me. One of the things they kept doing was they kept replaying stuff that happened in the past.
It's still shots.
First time they did this, no, not still shots. They played like past videos of these wrestlers doing things in the past. One of them was Alexa Bliss when she was normal, winning Money in the Bank, which is fine and all. But then we come back and she's being possessed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, just... I agree. I 100% agree. It's like all of those still shots. I thought all night when they were doing those, it did not help their case, because they just showed either a better time or just a better situation for whatever wrestler was involved.
And it felt like pandering so
hard. Yeah. To mostly themselves, but also to, the general public. But that's what they do. And Liv comes out, so Alexa comes out, and she's just doing whatever. At least this look is better than her in the skipping in the doll outfit. That was worth. Liv
Liv Morgan is hot, and that's all she has.
What the hell is Nikki almost superhero? It is the dumbest gimmick.
A superhero.
It is the dumbest gimmick I have ever seen. I know this came straight out of the brain of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. 100%.
John, let me spoil something to you. Nikki came up with it. Nikki Cross came up with it.
Because she knew that that'd be something that Vince the toddler would like. And
yes.
So the blame is equal among both parties.
I just wanted to make sure that we get the blame on the right person, okay?
Well, it's...
Then we have Natalya come out, and Natalya, I have to say, you looked good in that outfit. Tamina, not so much.
The only way Natalya would get a reaction is if she walked through Poison Ivy during her entrance. Oh, it was silent. And
then Zelina Vega in the weirdest outfit I've ever seen her wear. That's saying something because she's worn a lot of weird outfits.
Now, then they say this whole thing about Zelina was told that Sonya was able to give Zelina this matchup. And I reiterate, for almost a year now, what in the absolute hell does Sonya Deville do?
I can't answer that question. It's like the question that we keep asking.
Can somebody please tell me, for the love of God, what this woman does for this company? I'm not saying that she's not worth anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying I want to know her job position. I want to know her title.
Explain why she has power. Why was she given power?
It just all of a sudden she's just like, I'm an authority figure now.
At least five-time NWA World Champion Adam Pearce got it by being a backstage agent or something. What the hell is Sonya Deville done?
Yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I just want to know. Somebody please explain this to me. I will shut up about this the second I get a coherent answer. Leave it in the comments.
And speaking of coherent answers, why is Naomi still doing the Feel the Glow gimmick even though it's been 5 years?
Because she loves JoshAgeddon.
Apparently. and then the woman of them all, Asuka.
Before you go into Asuka, Naomi, they did this, speaking of the video, they did the video of Naomi's split-legged moonsault that she didn't even hit. The replay was of her missing the moonsault on 2 people and then going for a cover.
Well, to be fair, they don't have many moments of Naomi being on top. So you have to use what you got. It's true, but man, what a decision there. And then you can't spell Asuka without suck. No, you cannot.
And then this match starts, and all the women just start doing whatever they were told to do, and then Alexa's in the middle of the ring, and then just looks up and pulls her hand up. What's she gonna do? Use the frickin' Force?
If she used the Force to have the chain go down, that would have been actually cool.
I would have shut the show off. I would not have watched the rest of the show. No, I swear to you, on the grave of all of my ancestors, if you had her use the Force to lower the chain to get to that briefcase, I 100% would have shut that show off and not watched Money in the Bank or probably SummerSlam as a result. That's too far from me.
Again, to be fair, the Force has been used in wrestling before.
I know. And I hated it then, and I hate it now, and I would hold it against, for all the garbage that WWE has done, I would probably hold them using the Force against them the most.
Okay.
Pat McAfee's terrific.
He's the only good thing about this match.
Yeah. And then Tamina starts hitting everybody, and then Asuka goes up to Tamina, stands up, and then they didn't know what spot they were doing. Did you notice?
They forgot the spot.
They forgot the spot. Asuka didn't even bother to throw a fist or throw a punch, so it made it look like she just stood up there and didn't attack. And oops, that was obvious.
Wasn't just 2 minutes into this match, and how can you forget 2 minutes into the match?
And it was a solid 3 seconds of them trying to figure it out. It was not very good. It was obvious. It was obvious that would happen. And then these spots. Did they make any sense to you?
Here's the thing about Money in the Bank. It's a car crash match style. The whole point is to get to the top of the ladder to get the briefcase. The in-between is a bunch of moves done to each other in order to try and weaken the field, right? The problem is that no one bothered to make sense of anything, and it was just each of these women took turns trying to do stuff, and it didn't look good.
Yeah, it's instead of having 6 people or 8 people working cohesively to lay out a match where there's a pace and some people are on top sometimes and some people are on top the other times, this is 8 people wrote down what they wanted to do. They shuffled all the pieces of paper together and said, all right, here you go. And so this just, for example, so Tamina's pinned down and she's raising the ladder to stop, I forget who, from coming to climb up. And Liv Morgan jumps up and jumps on the ladder and pins Tamina back down. But instead of running up the ladder to get the briefcase, just steps back down to fight more.
To answer your question, that was Zelina Vega, by the way.
These spots make no goddamn sense, and they're all sloppy. Every single woman in this match was sloppy. I'm sorry. There was no one in this that had any redeeming quality. And I like Zelina too. That was the only person I was really interested in this whole match. But everybody came out of this looking worse than they did when they came in. And that takes skill.
Well, skill of some type. And there were things technically, on the technical terms, some of the moves were okay? But again, these women have nothing, and I mean nothing, to give them the opportunity to make a mistake, because they are not over. None of these women are stars. And because they're not stars, every little move they do is magnified. And when they make a mistake, it gets worse.
Yeah. Well, for example, when Natalya and I think Tamina, or Natalya and somebody are holding a ladder, and they're dueling with each other with the ladder, and then these 2 other ladies, who I didn't even write down on my notes, come in to do a spot on that ladder, and Natalya and second lady just hold the ladder there while the other women have come in to do their spot. It's okay, so that's just... this was all just so coordinated, and it looked coordinated, but it was so poorly executed, uncoordinated. It was embarrassing. It was just embarrassing. And then the hypnosis spot, as if to make things any better.
And to ruin the one woman you cared about in this match.
Yeah, well, that ship had sailed. But it was the... but, yeah, that was the end of it. And then she just snapped out of it. And this whole match was very much indicated by the fact that they were doing a whole bunch of stuff, and for a solid 3 or 4 minutes, the crowd just sat on their hands. It takes skill to make...
sat on their hands and look forward.
It takes skill to make a Money in the Bank match boring, and these women somehow made it boring. And then, oh god, then they did. Oh, then Naomi did that split leg stunner, which just did not look good. And then I counted. Then all the women start getting into a big schmoz and just start walking towards the side of the arena where the ladder is, because that's the next spot, so everybody get in line. They don't even bother punching each other half the time. They're just like holding their hair. And Nikki, for 14 seconds, pauses and poses while these women are not fighting, just literally looking up at her, waiting for her to dive, and then she missed!
And this was the most egregious spot in this entire match, because it proved how fucking coordinated not only was this match but how fucking unnatural it was. This whole match, the shot afterward was 2 kids in the ring. One was really excited, jumping up and down. The other one had his hands on his head like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, and neither of those are the reactions you're trying to get. And then,
like, one kid was actually excited and happy to see Nikki fly like a superhero. The other one was like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, that's how I felt.
I relate to that second kid more
than
I relate to the first kid.
Yeah, 100%. Then they bury Alexa with ladders. And
the only smart thing they did was bury the demon.
And then while they're all standing there posing, proud of themselves that they buried Alexa, Liv Morgan, the only smart woman in the whole thing, gets into the ring and starts getting up the ladder, because she's like, all right, she's buried. Back to the action. While everyone else is like, yeah, we did it. This is the worst. This match is the worst. Then they
talk about an insulting finish.
Everyone is again fake fighting.
No. Let me do this.
Please,
okay?
please.
So, with Alexa Bliss down, 6 of the women, Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega, Asuka, Tamina, Natalya, and Naomi, are all on 3 ladders fighting with each other at the top of the ladders, right? You know, typical Money in the Bank spot.
Yeah.
And Nikki Cross, or Nikki Ash, whatever the hell her name is, proceeds to climb up one of the ladders and grab the briefcase while the other 6 are fighting with each other and wins the match.
And none of the 6 are reaching for the briefcase, mind you. They're all just brawling with each other instead of trying to reach for it. So Nikki Cross, nobody was going for the briefcase. They're just all fighting on ladders. So Nikki's like, all right, I'm just going to walk up and get it.
Way to make the other 6 women look so stupid. Like, they were reaching for the briefcase, and they started punching with each other, and no one bothered to stop her from winning.
Nikki had one job, and that was to land one dive, and she didn't do that. And then she wins the match. What does that tell you about the women's division right now? If you're not going to make it look good and make sense, don't have this match. No one came out the winner here. Nobody. This was the worst. This gimmick is garbage. I'm sorry, Nikki. It's garbage. And to have her win, how long has she been doing it? 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
So, it makes no sense. And let's not spoil what happened the night after until we talk about the title match. But this sucked. This just straight up sucked. It was a mockery. I legitimately had a paper bag over my head in embarrassment. This was an embarrassment to the professional wrestling business, as if the corpse of professional wrestling wasn't already being sodomized on a weekly basis. Somebody took a CPR, clear, revived it, and then proceeded to sodomize what was left of it living with this match. God damn, this was awful.
Well, hey. Calm down. Actually, I can't make that better.
Yeah, how do you, yeah, what's the silver lining here? The silver lining is Pat McAfee has a bright future in commentary.
No, the silver lining is to get to read Joshua's notes.
Well, let me give you what he gave me. And if you thought I was cutting edge, hey boy, here we go. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Like at Mania, it is so good to have fans back. Wrestling with no fans does not work, so this is a breath of fresh air. Dear God, the lineup of this match already fills me with regret. Buckle seatbelt. Little did he know. I wonder if 2018 Alexa Bliss had any idea she'd be a C-level demonic Harley Quinn cosplay with a doll one day. Something tells me
she did not.
Something tells me there was definitely a maybe.
No, she did not.
I echo Skylar's sentiment. What the fuck are these people wearing? Good question.
They're all wearing lingerie. That's
Nikki's almost he wrote Nikki's almost subhuman, which I think is better. Gimmick is painful. It's superhero in training tier, if you get what he means, with the emphasis on the capital letters of superhero in training. Literally no one, except Natalya, has decent or memorable theme music. He likes Natty's theme.
Natty's theme is only memorable because she borrowed part of it from frickin' Bret Hart.
I don't disagree with you, but he told you to shut the fuck up.
Well, Joshua,
he did.
After everything I've done for you, I just commentated a match for you involving fucking elves.
Yeah, let's not get into that. Let's stick to the first atrocity, shall we? And
It's hard to argue which atrocity is worse.
I know. Well, then speaking of atrocities, Asuka stops Alexa from using her powers. God damn it.
Fuck the force.
Pat McAfee talking about Alexa's powers is taking years off my life. Yeah, that did not help. But what's he supposed to do? Cole saying nobody is meaner than Tamina took an entire decade off my life. I don't think I'm going to make it out of this pay-per-view alive. Asuka's offense fucking blows. And to counter my point, Pat McAfee says that she's like a magician. Yeah, she pulled 2 shitty back fists out her ass and took 3 seconds climbing to the second rope to deliver a mad missile dropkick to Tamina, who took an equally shit bump for it. Most of the women in this match cannot work to save their lives.
Did you notice, by the way, that Asuka has been gaining weight?
Yeah.
She's looking wider. I mean, I know she's 39, but she's looking wider.
She's gaining weight and losing ability.
Just like Kevin Owens.
Yeah, yeah. Some say that Natty and Liv Morgan are still doing a shitty tug of war with... Oh, it was Liv Morgan. That's right. Some say that Natty and Liv Morgan are still doing a shitty tug of war with the ladder to this very day. Seriously, they couldn't think of something to do with the ladder apart from shuffling side to side awkwardly? That is what they did.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, that Zelina Hurricanrana to Tamina was awful. Yes, it was. Fuck off with the Alexa Bliss hocus pocus bullshit. Okay, the powerbomb spot with Zelina, Liv, and Naomi was pretty good. I was so checked out at this point.
It was a powerbomb from one person to another person on a ladder.
Yeah.
It was a standard Money in the Bank ladder.
Yeah. The Nikki almost scuba horse ladder dive spot was so bad. Took forever to set up, looked so contrived, and she almost missed everyone. Christ to this match. And with that, Nikki almost Sunset House wins in a semi-creative finish. Semi. This match sucked. Shitty gimmicks, clumsy and badly timed spots, you name it. Once again, this match was an indictment of the WWE Women's Division. This Women's Division is legit my least favorite part of WWE because it fucking sucks. It is so hollow and lifeless that we often get matches like these, filled with clumsy, green, directionless, untalented women who have no business being in a ring. Most of the women on this roster and in this match would be jobbers if this division had any kind of depth. Bad start to the show.
Save us, Tony Storm. You're our only hope.
Yeah. It says it's your turn, but let's move on. Let's mercifully move on. And, oh, God. Then they do, before we move on, we get a little promo in the back, which was not bad, except the Velcro belts are back.
You knew they were going to be back at some point. Okay, let's ignore the belts because we set our piece on why Velcro belts suck.
Yes. The rest was fine. And I liked the little slide knock on Jimmy's DUI from Roman Reigns. That was a nice little touch.
But I want you to notice something very, very subtle that Roman Reigns did during the segment. He brought the Usos up, and then he brought them down by saying, y'all did great, y'all did wonderful. But you both know the only reason why you did well is because I'm around.
Well, yeah.
And then he forced them to acknowledge him, and then he gave him a little bit of sugar. Roman Reigns is that toxic girlfriend that will make you feel like shit. But all it takes is one little compliment, or one little thing, or one little look in the eye, and you're so happy you're willing to spend more time with her, even though she's bad for you.
Yep. And speaking of bad for you, you know what's really bad for you in excessive amounts, Skylar? Turkey legs.
Oh, you said it.
Turkey legs.
So the next match is Omos and AJ Styles versus the Viking Raiders for the Raw tag titles. But they have to do the still shots from the Street Profits Viking Raiders feud from last year.
Well, from now on, I'm referring to these two roundish individuals as the Turkey Raiders. And that is because you want to talk about regression. Wow. These guys had ability back in the day. What did you think of this match? Because personally, I thought this was just blah. It wasn't good.
This match and the SmackDown tag team match from earlier are proof. It's that they don't know how to book tag team wrestling anymore.
Nope. Not at all.
There was no structure to this match other than keep Omos out, but whenever he gets in, he looks good. But AJ has to look weak against the Raiders.
Yep, and the Turkey Raiders here got absolutely zero reaction. They should be walking through those same poison ivy fields that Natalia's got right now because they need some sort of reaction here, even if it's itching. The only star in this matchup was AJ Styles, and the crowd made sure that we knew that.
But the thing about this match is that the Raiders, they show why they actually are decent wrestlers, and they move surprisingly well for big men.
They do.
They have athletic ability. If they had a fucking character that was not the goofy turkey leg guys that they are, they could actually be serious tag team and really actually be a serious threat to AJ and Omos.
Yeah, I didn't. I still.
As is, they're one bad feel away from wearing turkey leg costumes.
Yeah, well, maybe they can go to Impact and wear the turkey suit because they're already turkeys in my eyes. And
maybe if Impact ever needs another Johnsons, they can be them.
Yeah. Well, and, but AJ and Omos, it's a weird pairing, but I like it. It has potential. I like where these two are headed as far as like what they're doing, and where Omos is going. Obviously, he's still green, but they're protecting him probably better than anybody.
Well, here's the thing: is that this is how you protect a green wrestler. Dominic Mysterio is allowed to do everything he knows how to do, and the problem with that is that you expose how bad he is at doing those things.
Yeah.
Omos, they keep him short, sweet, and to the point.
That's right. And his stuff, I gotta say, it's looking pretty good. For example, that great body slam. He landed, I think it was Ivar, flat. Like straight flat, perfect flat back bump, put him exactly where he needed him to be. It was like, okay, Omos is picking up on some of this stuff. It was really nice. But once again, I'm confused as to who is heel and babyface. They don't really establish that, especially because the Turkey Raiders are getting zero reaction, which was a part of this. We also have a collar and elbow tie-up counter to continue. Obviously, we didn't get one in the women's Money in the Bank, so we're obviously 1 for 2 so far. Did we get one in this match, Scott?
I think we did. I hope we did.
The answer is no. Started off with, I believe, a double team. Oh, it started off with tags, and then they started in on, they started with Omos, but then AJ came in, and then they started attacking AJ. So
basically, they had each other in the ring, then they tagged, and then one person charged Omos, and it didn't work.
Yeah, so 1 for 3 so far. We'll keep a count on that for the rest of the evening. And this match just showcased how bad the Raiders have gotten. Their moves didn't land. It wasn't even just that they could move. It's just their moves didn't land. I didn't feel like their positioning was that good. It just didn't do it. It didn't do it for me.
Did you notice, by the way, that they had them in the wrong corners? Like, AJ and Omos are supposed to be the heels, but they're in the traditional babyface corner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even mind that if you're just going to, because there have been instances where they've done that. Like, I mean, there was an angle attached to it, but I think of that episode of Raw where Michaels and Flair teamed up against Evolution, and then Flair turned on Shawn, right after that, and when Flair got in the ring, but that was the babyface corner. So they do that sometimes. I don't mind that as much, but it was just, the one thing I did like was it was a really clever way to break up a tag when Omos shoved one of them into the other to break up the pin that AJ was about to get in.
Right, it was a good spot for Omos.
Yeah, it's just they're
again, all of Omos' spots were good.
Yeah, no, they're doing a great job of protecting him, which I like, and I like AJ and Omos. But this match just reminded me of why I soured on the Raiders.
And it's one of those things where if the Raiders were a serious character and taken seriously, and they were actually showcased, the Raiders have only been back on TV for 2 or 3 weeks. The reason why they had the reaction they did is because no one knows who the hell they are because they haven't been on TV.
And then when they showed you what they did prior to, you're like, oh. Like, you want to talk about how to ruin somebody. Did these two do something? I mean, God, this is it feels more like punishment than actual service here. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I feel like the Raiders would be better someplace else.
Yes, but where? AEW?
Thinking New Japan, probably.
No, they would feel like eating, bowling, basketball thing totally fits AEW's mindset on tag teams.
Well, hopefully they would want to be serious.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing. The Viking Raiders would fit perfectly in AEW's tag team division because they feel like AEW wrestlers. They do a bunch of moves that have no meaning behind them. They don't have any real character. Their wrestling has regressed. And what they do know in charisma is goofy shit.
Because that's what WWE teaches. WWE format kills wrestlers. You can't say it doesn't. Tell me someone who is better now than they were before, whose name isn't Roman Reigns, or someone who was already previously established.
You're right.
There you go. So this is what they do. This is what WWE does. They don't get talent over, they get talent under, and they do it deliberately. What did JoshAgeddon have to say about this match? I'm done with this match. It was okay. The Raiders can go away. I'm done with them. They can go into my Oscar pile, which is what I call it. So,
question: do I try to read the notes in JoshAgeddon's southern accent?
You decide, sir. I believe I'd like to hear whatever he has to say, whatever way you choose to deliver it.
Okay. Must we replay the shitty? No, I can't do it.
I couldn't even make it 2 words through.
I made it 5. Must we replay the shitty vignette from last year? Must we? I swear to God, this company so badly wants to be a shitty YouTube comedy vlog channel.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
Jesus Olmus is massive, dwarfing the gosh dang Viking brothers. Thank you, Kevin Dunn, for paying to the crowd while Eric gave AJ a slam. How are you so bad at your job you've had for decades? Sean, give him the shiv again.
You know, Kevin Dunn was probably on better behavior now than he was any time I've seen him, except with the extreme close-ups. He went a little too rogue on that, but I did not have a quarrel with him today.
No. You are not giving him a fucking pass. Kevin Dunn, the whole night, was doing the fucking cutaway to the crowd or to a different spot from a different angle and kept missing shit. Kevin Dunn, you shitbag motherfucker beaver tooth twat burger, can go fuck yourself with a rusty prison shit.
See, I didn't have to say anything. I had no problem with Kevin Dunn on this night because I wasn't getting epilepsy.
I will go to Texas right now, grab my rusty cane, and shove up your asshole just to see if you know what it feels like to actually have something be perfectly directed, you motherfucker.
Well, now tell us what you really feel about him.
So yeah, I hated Kevin Dunn's camera cuts.
That guy appears that both of you did.
That knee by Eric was business, straight up suit and tie business. The toss into the Rana by Olmus and Styles was a thing of beauty, as nicely a perfectly done high spot that wasn't fucked up. Stares directly at the women's division.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with how WWE is using Olmus and his limited ability. This is how you mask someone who can't do that much, as opposed to putting a bunch of people who can't do much in the ring together for a long period of time in which they all get exposed and look like clueless idiots. Again, staring at the women's division.
Yep.
Olmus shifting Eric from the apron into the corner to break it up was an awesome spot. I love shit like that. The Olmus Tree Slam was also devastating. Perfect. This match was so much better than the previous match. It's kind of embarrassing. AJ was great, Olmus was fantastic monsters, and the Raiders were good fall there. Great tag match. Should have kicked off the show with this one.
Yeah, but would you really want to watch the Money in the Bank match? Would you really want to watch the next match after watching the women's Money in the Bank?
No. But, it would have been a good. Here's the thing. The women's Money in the Bank match should have been on the pre-show.
Yeah, that women's Money in the Bank match should have been on SmackDown, seeing how they're putting gimmick matches on regular shows nowadays, like they did with Hell in a Cell. I'll just put it on SmackDown. Have them do it there, and then leave the pay-per-view to some people who can actually make something look decent.
But you know, if they put it on SmackDown on Fox, that USA is going to get mad and they're going to want Money in the Bank on Raw. So they're going to have the men be on Raw Money in the Bank. Just imagine Money in the Bank pay-per-view with no Money in the Bank.
This is what WWE has become. This is why I wonder just how much influence Vince even has in half of this stuff now, because it's like, part of it, I think 9/10 of this is just catering to the people who are making WWE profitable. It's the Fox, it's the USA, it's the Peacock, it's the Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
It's all of it.
So
it's the Applebee's too.
How is this?
Oh God, that commercial was so bad.
That commercial.
So bad. I hated it.
By the way, I don't think Cesaro's ever getting a world title shot.
Yep, I told you that was it, and that was the way they were going to do it.
I hate that you were right about Cesaro not looking serious after the one title shot.
I knew they were going to do it. And speaking of people who are losing their steam rapidly, we get an incredibly good babyface promo from Drew McIntyre.
I think the problem is that now Drew's hit the point of the babyface lifestyle where he's not bad, but the fans are tired of him because he's been over too much, and perceivably that's a bad thing. I don't know why, but it is. And they don't like him, which to me is asinine.
Yeah, agreed. That's just the physicality of modern wrestling fans. Because every wrestling fan is a smark, because there are no casual fans anymore, or very few.
Now, to be fair, again, if Drew McIntyre was booked better, they wouldn't have that problem. But because he's booked like a babyface in WWE, and a babyface in WWE has to be goofy, has to say stupid shit in order to be funny.
Yeah, we'll get to something goofy with Drew that actually got me angry later on. But let's move on to arguably in a vacuum, maybe one of the best matches on the show, if not in the top 2 or 3. Kofi
This at least
Kingston
started the trend of the matches getting better.
Yeah, things started. There was a turning point here. There was definitely a turning point here. Bobby Lashley versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE title. I really liked this match a lot.
So let's preface this with the story they were telling on Raw. So Bobby Lashley wins Hell in a Cell against Drew McIntyre, and he starts celebrating by having these women and having champagne and drinking all the time and wearing fancy suits and all that. And Kofi starts accusing Bobby of becoming soft because of MVP's influence.
Right.
And then Bobby starts losing a little bit against Kofi and Xavier in matches, and partially because of MVP. And Bobby, at one point, snaps on MVP and says, "This is it. We have to go back to business. No more games. And Kofi, you keep calling me soft. You keep calling me soft. I'll show you what happens when I get serious."
And as a result, Bobby Lashley took Kofi Kingston to Pain Town. and this was domination. We got dominators, which I love from Bobby Lashley because they're the greatest. I loved when he did it back when he was Green or No. And they look even better now that he knows what he's doing. It wasn't long, it served its purpose, and it was great.
Did it all feel like Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from SummerSlam all those years ago?
Well, yes and no, because Brock is very much cut and paste. I don't mean to say that negatively, but Brock, you kind of know what you're getting with Brock as far as the kind of spots he does and the way that he's going to go down. Like it was 16 German suplexes from Brock, which is a different kind of powerhouse. But Bobby showcased a lot of different ability here. This was more like a overall showcase of an all-around talent. Brock Lesnar is a great talent, but I think Bobby is a better all-around as far as the type of athleticism that he's capable of. And that was more showcased here. The speed, the power, the creativity in the spots. It was just overall, I thought it was so much. It was better, I think, than Lesnar and Cena as far as what it did for Bobby.
There is something to be said for the fact that Brock Lesnar only knows how to do 2 or 3 moves. And
chooses to do 2 or 3 moves. He knows how to do a lot of them. He just chooses to do 2 or 3 moves.
Which is fine.
Not a knock.
Job.
Not a knock or a criticism whatsoever.
But you're right about Bobby Lashley being more varied in his attack. Bobby did more damage with more moves, and he showcased more of what he can and cannot do. Now, John, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How many offensive moves did Kofi Kingston get in?
Did you count?
Yes.
I know we got a couple flurries in, but I don't really count flurries because that's like just a couple random punches. But as far as actual,
how many actual moves did he get in?
2 or 3 maybe?
The answer is 3.
3. Yep.
He got 2 in the first part of the match, and then he did a little kick to Bobby Lashley's face that actually got a little bit of juice from his mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of messed up his teeth. The second Bobby Lashley's teeth got messed up, it was over. Those spots where he picked up Kofi and he ran him continuously into the fucking ring post.
Yeah, that was gnarly. I mean, this match was like, I wouldn't say it was hard to watch because the purpose was served, but like, it's kind of hard to watch because Kofi's selling was terrific.
No, legitimately, there looked like there were points where Bobby Lashley was breaking Kofi's neck.
Yeah.
Because of the way that Kofi's head was twisting. Like, there were spots I was actually legitimately concerned for Kofi. Like, oh my God, his neck.
But that's exactly what you wanted to accomplish with this. That's exactly what you're going for. And this is what frustrates me to hell about WWE. Because they'll put on an all-around embarrassment on the first matchup of the show to sour your appetite on anything that might precede it. And then they give you something that makes so much sense and the people in it are what they're doing and it's logical. and it's got a coherent finish, and it's like, choose one or the other, WWE. Don't give us dreck and then give us a plate full of lobster. You know, it's
like you serve up crap for us, and then you give us filet mignon.
Yeah, it's just, did we get a collar and elbow tie-up in this match, Sky?
I think they did.
The answer is no.
Did they? I thought they did.
Kofi went for the jump, got a couple strikes in. Bobby just started going down to Pound Town. So we are 1 for 4 on the night.
I don't think it would have made sense for Kofi to try and call an elbow tie up Bobby Lashley.
No, for sure.
Bobby Lashley's going to have the strength advantage.
Yeah, kind of like the Money in the Bank matches. I'll give this one a pass because this was not meant to be a collar and elbow tie-up kind of match.
Now, here's my question.
Yes.
Should they have given Kofi a little bit more offense, or maybe even give him a surprise hold spot, like maybe he does a Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere?
One comeback flurry would have been nice. I did think that right at the end. I was like, just one little piece to give the fans something before Bobby shuts it down. That's the only criticism I have of this whole match, is that. It's funny that you even mentioned it, because that's the only thing I had to say about it.
Right. Now, here's something that we have to talk about. Bobby Lashley, after defeating Drew McIntyre, and those matches with Drew were still good, but this is the type of victory that Bobby needs, because if you're going to present him as a dominant champion against guys who he clearly should beat, he should beat them.
Yeah, and crazy concept.
It's not knocking Kofi. Kofi is a great guy. He's a very well-respected veteran of the business. And he's a former WWE champion.
Love Kofi.
But in no way should he beat a guy like Bobby Lashley.
I agree entirely. 100%.
And I know there are fans of Kofi who didn't like the fact that he was made to job out. I'm fine with him jobbing out, because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of the match was to make Bobby Lashley look good.
But there was
Bobby had to look good.
There was also respect here between these two individuals. This was not a 9-second squash. And this is why I'm want to make this difference, because the way that they book Bobby Lashley as champion outdoes every Brock Lesnar reign as he's had in the past 6 or 7 years for this alone. Bobby, in this dominating style, is still giving back to Kofi. Because there's respect here. It's not, I'm going over in 9 seconds, that's it. Bob's your uncle, Betty's your aunt. Fuck that guy. After 4 months of being champion.
So I can give you one F5 and win the title.
Yeah,
you held the title for 9 months.
Yeah, what a garbage way to end that. There is at least respect here. And all in all, I've always been I like Brock. This is no knock on Brock. I like Brock's work. But I've always been more a Bobby Lashley fan. When he finally actually came into his own, it's just, there's more respect for the business from Bobby. There's more respect for his opponents from Bobby. And there's just an overall better, I think he's just a better all-around talent, is Bobby Lashley. No disrespect to Brock, but I'm in the Bobby Lashley camp.
Your hashtag Team Bobby.
But then, just like Brock Lesnar, he has to face somebody else, doesn't he?
Yep. So, on Monday Night Raw, Bobby Lashley holds an open challenge. And the open challenge is answered by the limitless one, Keith Lee, who has made his return to WWE. And Bobby destroys Keith Lee. Like, he dominates him.
Yeah,
it's not much of a match.
Why? And because, I don't know what Keith Lee did, but...
Well, it's to make Bobby Lashley look good, that he can dominate guys who are smaller than him, he can dominate guys who are bigger than him. But now, he gets a challenge from Goldberg after Keith Lee loses. And it's just like the time that Goldberg challenged Drew McIntyre after Drew McIntyre defeated Keith Lee.
It's crazy that. Imagine that's the only time they ever bring Keith Lee back, so that every time we see Keith Lee, we're like, oh, crap. Who's
Goldberg's
coming? Oh, no. Oh, God. Could you imagine that they just use Keith Lee as a precursor from now on to Goldberg?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they made him the Zelda mid-boss before you get the Goldberg, the final boss in the dungeon. Oh, good gravy. This is just...
Yeah.
Please, WWE. Let me put it this way. You know how I said I wasn't going to watch WWE programming if the Alexa used the Force. If Goldberg beats Bobby Lashley for this belt, I'm not watching Survivor Series. I'm skipping through Survivor Series.
No, we are skipping the rest of the shows for the year.
Yeah, I'm not putting up with it. I'm not putting up with that. They will not get the satisfaction. I will watch AEW and not watch WWE programming if the belt goes on to Goldberg at SummerSlam. I'd rather have John Cena beat Roman Reigns for the belt at SummerSlam. We'll get to that. Then I'd like to see Goldberg beat Bobby Lashley.
Wait, hold on. Okay. I'm going to break quickly into a news of the week segment thing.
Okay, roll the intro real quick.
Okay, so we're recording on a Wednesday, July 21st, and MJF has given the labors of Jericho.
Forgot the intro.
And Chris
Sorry,
Jericho
Sky.
defeated Sean Spears as his labor. You want to know what his second labor is?
Marco Stunt.
Even better, Nick fucking Gage.
Great. Wow.
Chris Jericho versus Nick fucking Gage.
AEW, ladies and gentlemen.
And he's
AEW.
carrying a fucking pizza cutter.
Of course he... Oh, good God. Terrific.
So, folks, professional wrestling in 2021, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, wow. These are our options. And you wonder why ratings are the lowest they've ever been in the history of pro wrestling and why nobody gives a fuck anymore about this. You wonder. You know? Would you like to hear what JoshAgeddon has to say as one of the few people like us who does give a fuck?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, why not?
I really like the Bobby went soft and needed a wake-up call aspect of this feud. Love the hot start to this match. If there was ever a match to have a hot start, this would be the one. That clothesline inside-out bump was nasty. Yo, Bobby's stance while delivering these shoulder blocks is a thing of beauty. Totally some amateur wrestling / I'm about to football tackle the fuck out of you type of feel that I love. Bobby just yeeted Kofi out of the ring. I fucking love Lashley. Kofi bumping like a madman. Bro, the half Nelson pump handle suplex was awesome. I was going to mention that. All the Dominators. Holy hell, remember Bootios? Kofi just... Oh, I can't say that. No.
The Elfberg edit video now. YouTube no like. So Elfberg no like. We back to program.
All of the nope.
Well, Omega Elf or Elfberg did win, so you can send it.
That's right. So Elfberg, we were mentioning Goldberg. Elfberg, get on it.
Elfberg on it.
Bobby needed a dominant, destructive win like this. Loved this.
This was a good match for Bobby. I just have no hope for him against fucking Goldberg at SummerSlam. Here's the thing. Goldberg has a contract where he has to have 2 matches every year. We have one against Drew. Now we got one against Bobby.
Yep.
Over under 3 minutes.
I hope under, and I hope it's Bobby. I hope it's Goldberg hits a spear, Bobby kicks out at 1, Goldberg goes to hit another spear, he misses, hits the ring post, hurt lock, over.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. Because you know Goldberg's not going to be able to lift Bobby up for a jackhammer. You know he's not.
Oh my God, imagine if he tries.
You know he's not. It's
Nobody's going to try, and he's going to drop Bobby on his fucking head, isn't he?
Well, let's talk about, before we get to that good, awful outcome that may or may not happen, we've got a women's title match. And for the second time in a row, we get this match on a non-Big Four pay-per-view because they hate feuds that would draw them money. That's the only reason I can explain it. They did it. They hate it. They must hate feuds that people like. It's Charlotte and Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. And the storyline for this matchup sucks.
Because anything you can do, I can do better. And the thing that they're doing is cheating.
Yeah. So who are we supposed to cheer for? It was obviously Rhea once this match got going. But it was obviously Rhea, who was supposed to be babyface here, but not really. We'll get to that.
Well, Charlotte is definitely the heel because not only did she give the middle finger to the crowd, but Peacock tried to censor her by blacking out the image. But we all saw it.
Yeah, and then she did it after they cut back to the crowd.
Just to make sure that everyone got to see what Charlotte really feels about them.
But to be fair, Fort Worth really did not do this match service with the "We Want Becky" chants. This is where I was like, why did we choose Fort Worth again?
Yeah. It also, by the way, we should note that Rhea Ripley came out first because it's champion's choice, which means that she automatically was.
Which means she's losing. Yep, because that's what they do. This was. What did you think of this match?
Rhea Ripley is losing steam for me.
This is the main roster. Main roster Rhea. Look what happened.
I hate how they do this to every single wrestler
Everyone.
that they get from NXT that's built up, and they strip them of anything that makes them interesting and slowly makes them die on screen.
Yep. Now, to be fair, this match, by all means, was pretty good. It had. We'll get to the finish here in a second, but it was all in all, the match was fine. I thought that they did a really good job. I thought that the pace was good. Who was very clear at the beginning, at least. The flipping off the crowd and the enforcing of who's who really helped. Did we get a collar and elbow tie up Skylar?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. We are 2 of 5 for the evening.
Now, again, one of those was a Money in the Bank match, so it's really 2 out of 4.
Right. And then Rhea put in some pretty bad-looking knees, which I was a little upset about. They didn't even look like they landed. And then we get a German part. How many Germans did we get over the course of this show?
We got a decent amount of Germans,
like
but I think Rhea's were some of the best.
Agreed. But the knees were not. Some are her best.
And that's the thing, is that Rhea's work is inconsistent. She looks good 1 second, then she looks bad the next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That, again, part of it is that she is young. She's only 24. She's been wrestling for like 5 or 6 years, so she's not green, but she's still not finished. There's at least hope with her that she can build herself up, but I think she's still not at the level that Charlotte is.
Well, they made sure to make sure that we knew that. So we do this matchup. Charlotte lands a standard 5% of her moonsault.
Do you think that she actually got anything besides the shoulder?
She got one arm. Good job, Charlotte. You're killing it with that moonsault. Just stop doing it. Just stop. I don't want to see it anymore.
And stop doing regular natural selections. Only do them from the top rope.
That was the only natural selection I will ever say looked halfway good. I was like, okay, that one was fine.
So apparently the answer to the question of how does Charlotte do the natural selection good, the answer is from the top rope.
Yeah. But then this match kind of just progressed into moves. And I was really kind of sad. I mean, this match was very good. And it was late at night when I was watching this, and I was starting to fall asleep at the end. But then the slamming of the skull into the ring post and the steel step into the knee woke me back up. Because I was like, oh, snap. And then, you want to explain what happened, Sky?
Like, Charlotte all match, the story of the match was that Charlotte was getting frustrated with the fans because the fans were pissing her off, and she kept being distracted by them. So after she can't put away Rhea Ripley, the fans start chanting against her, and once again, Charlotte gets angry and goes outside the ring, and then Rhea tries to follow her, and Charlotte traps her leg inside the steel steps, and then continuously kicks the steel steps with purpose and malice, and tries to go back at Rhea Ripley's injured leg, and the referee does nothing about it. And you know what makes this worse? Is that
their last match.
Ago, no. A couple of minutes ago, before this spot, Charlotte Flair tries to cheat with a pinfall by getting her feet on the ropes, and the referee sees this and tells her to take her foot off the rope.
Yeah.
And Charlotte gets angry at the referee for daring to have the energy to defy her. But now, a couple minutes later, the referee turned into a ballless pussy.
When did WWE decide that rules just don't matter anymore?
No, it's not even the fact that rules don't matter.
It's when they
enforced the rules for a minute, and then they went back to the no rule enforcing.
Well, and don't forget that the last time these two faced each other, didn't they use the steel steps on the outside?
They used the tabletop to disqualify or something. I don't know. I just get it.
Why? This is why I ask. Why do they hate drawing feuds? Why do they hate drawing money with people they have?
No. They love this feud because the vehicle to get Charlotte Flair another title reign. Because they have to have Charlotte as Ric Flair.
Because they did the steel steps into the knee, and then
Charlotte makes Rhea Ripley tap out.
My blood pressure is sky right now. I'm trying not to scream. This is like...
Well, let's make it even better, shall we?
Why though? No, why? Why though? Why though? I am going to go. I'm going to cut this promo. Listen. Okay. Why? In God's green earth would you bother? Why would you bother with this? Why are you insistent on killing things you like? Rhea Ripley, what does this do for her now? She might as well have been in that Money in the Bank match. At least she would have looked good in it, because this does nothing for her. It once again just proves if you're not a horsewoman, you're not at the top level. Period. That's what they have reinforced. This Raw Women's Championship has reinforced. If you're not a horsewoman, nobody gives a fuck. Asuka was the third wheel as that Raw Women's Champion in a feud between Bayley and Sasha on a different show. Because who gives a fuck? This just further proves that the Raw Women's Championship has been and always will be a joke. A complete and utter joke. It is the Universal Championship with a quarter of the talent wrestling for it. This is absolute abomination. And between this finish and the Women's Money in the Bank match, and yeah, I'll admit it, it's going to sound sexist when I say this, but this is what WWE formatting has done. I don't want to watch women's wrestling, period, after this, because of what has happened here on this night. This is an embarrassment. It's an atrocity to the professional wrestling in general, and this is the kind of thing that made me not want to have a women's division in ACPW when I started it, because of bullshit like this. Because this is how women are treated. And if you're not going to treat the women's booking with the equity it deserves, with the respect it deserves, then don't have these matches. Don't have women's wrestling if you're not going to treat it with the respect of booking that you do the men. I'm sorry, but this matchup, if you're not going to make it look good, don't do it at all. And then, just to add more flavor to this suck sauce, then the fucking almost bitch-ass superhero wins the belt the next fucking night.
After Charlotte and Rhea Ripley have another match on Raw, and Charlotte gives herself DQ, and then Rhea Ripley attacks Charlotte.
I went to bed, I watched this on Monday and Tuesday night. I went to bed after this. I was so pissed off I had to shut off the show, because this was the straw that broke the camel's back in the women's division for me. I've tried to accommodate this women's division. SmackDown seems to know what they're doing. This is specifically for the Raw women's belt. For years, they have treated this belt like crap. And it has had no traction. It has had no value. And moreover, it is just as worthless. Not that any of their belts have meaning anymore anyway. But it's like the Universal title belt before Roman Reigns got a hold of it.
Now, here's the thing, though. If Charlotte was on SmackDown, they'd be doing the exact same thing to Bianca Belair. So here's the question, John. How long will it be until Charlotte ruins Bianca?
Eventually. But I have a feeling that somebody else will eventually ruin Bianca first. And I have a feeling...
Dare I say Becky Lynch?
Dare I say Ronda Rousey?
Oh, God.
Yeah. I have a feeling. I'm not now. Obviously, she's having it bandit. But eventually, she's going to come back and spit in the face of professional wrestling, which WWE is all about now. So, what did JoshAgeddon have to say now that I've done making my major rant? on this particular portion.
Finally, two women who are good wrestlers, even though I couldn't give a shit less about Charlotte.
True.
Crowd goes, we want Becky, and Charlotte shows off her fur collection. Absolute comedy. I love that Rhea is wrestling circles around Charlotte in the early portions since Charlotte isn't used to competing in front of a crowd. Subtle logic being utilized here.
It's true.
I've never seen Charlotte throw a dropkick before. She is fired up. Holy shit, that elbow from Charlotte was nasty. Gorgeous Northern Light suplex from Rhea. See, viewers, I'm not sexist. I just hate shit wrestling. It's an exclusive feature of the women's division WWE much of the time, but Rhea and Charlotte are good wrestlers.
Yes, they are. I've never said they weren't. They are terrific wrestlers. I think they both do a really good job, and hopefully Rhea will not be destroyed.
Rhea with one of the best German suplexes I've ever seen.
Yep,
That
looks great.
suplex by Rhea was ridiculous. How the fuck is that even possible? This match is currently stealing the whole show. Oh, you're gonna love this one. Charlotte with a moonsault that actually looked effective. What sorcery is this? Why don't you do it like that more often?
And JoshAgeddon says he doesn't drink.
Like, he drinks the blood of elves.
Yeah, he must, because
it's counter the red tie was a thing of beauty. Best women's match of the year so far. I still think Bianca versus Bayley in Hell in a Cell was better.
That was a really good match.
That kick into the spinning elbow was nice and subtle little homage to her super sexy boy toy Andrade.
Mm-hmm. I did notice that.
How do you say boy toy in Spanish?
I do not know. Leave it in the comments, folks.
My God, that supernatural selection was awesome. Easily the best looking natural selection of her career.
Agreed.
Why doesn't she do it like that all the time?
Agreed. Oh, please, don't make her do it all the time. It'll look worse and worse. It will. It just will.
And Charlotte wins again. Meh. Anyone else sick of seeing her as the champion? This match was a million times better than their match at Hell in a Cell, although I wish Rhea would have won. But this will most likely lead to a rematch at SummerSlam. And if anything like this match, sign me up. This was one hell of a match. Boy, talk about things that did not age well.
Yeah, this was
all, by the way, notes that Joshua wrote before Raw when Nikki cashed in on Charlotte.
Yeah, which I don't have anything to say about it. I don't know where they're headed with that, but would you not be surprised if she lost it on a Raw between now and SummerSlam?
I don't know.
I feel like they would just totally do that and just throw away the Money in the Bank because they just have nothing planned for the women other than what they already have planned. I could totally see them doing that. But
I guess.
Well, now it's your turn, sir, because you have asked me specifically for this moment. We have got, prior to this men's Money in the Bank match, an in-ring segment, or not an in-ring segment, an out-of-the-ring segment, which was cringy as hell, but you have requested this time, so Sky, I'm going to leave this to you.
So, Riddle comes up to Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs, and they all start talking, and I don't know what the fuck is going on, but Riddle and Rick Boogs somehow end up singing Randy Orton's theme song, and Shinsuke Nakamura not getting along with it at first, then starts dancing to it, and Kevin Owens being all of us and looking at this like, what the fuck is going on? Fuck this.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. This segment was cringe and bad and deserves to be bad. But this is not the reason why I'm angry.
Randy despised his pants, bro. That was the only thing I took away from that in-ring piece.
Which I agree, because look at that man's thighs.
They are thunderous.
Yes, they are. But here's the thing. Now, Sean, you were not watching the show live, so you did not have the pleasure of your stream pixelating in and out for a solid 8 minutes as the stream started to die for Peacock.
Oh no!
This stream just started dying. And what would happen is you would get one image, then you would get another image 5 seconds later, then another image 5 seconds later. You couldn't hear you could hear it, but the picture was so jumbled up. It was awful. I was wondering if Kevin Dunn was doing something to the picture to make an effect. And then I realized, no, they were actually having an issue with the stream. And millions of people who were watching this on Peacock were reporting the same thing. And it was going on for several minutes.
Wow.
It did not stop until Big E's entrance. And he was the 6th entrant into this Money in the Bank ladder match.
Wow.
Thank God this happened during Money in the Bank entrances. Because if it happened during the main event, probably could have missed 10 minutes of the main event. I kept refreshing my screen, trying to fix it until it finally got fixed. And for some people, they didn't have it fixed until 5 minutes into the match.
Wow, that's awful. But that sounds like...
No, Sean.
Oh, we're not done.
NBC Universal, get your fucking shit together, you piece of shit media company. Now you may talk.
No. Quote by NBC Universal.
That was NBC Universal.
That was NBC Universal just responding to you right there. I got that one little quick tweet. So well, this was just... I'm not surprised.
$9.99.
That's the level of professionalism.
No, I'm actually not done yet.
Oh.
They were the fixes, by the way. They had to stop the domestic version and switch to the international version. That was the only version that was having the issue, was the domestic version.
Wow.
WWE Network has never had this problem, but fucking Peacock, 3 months into its existence, fucking sucks.
Just
Again.
like the network did when it launched.
No, but the network never had this issue during a live stream.
No, well, not to that extreme. Not to that extreme.
8 fucking minutes, and I counted 8 fucking minutes.
Yeah, that's a little much. That's a little much.
NBC Universal, get off your fucking asses and get your lives together, you pieces of shit.
Again, no. That's a quote from NBC Universal. So
Let's talk about the fucking geeks in this Money in the Bank match.
Let's go to the Money in the Bank match, which was actually let me start here. I'll break down all the ring entrances leading up to Mr. E.
Because you got to be able to see them.
Because I saw them. Kevin Owens got a great reaction, got a huge first reaction. Then Matt Riddle got CGI rainbow doves when he threw his flip-flops into the arena.
In the middle.
Because it was, terrible. Then Rick Boogs, who I thought has personality, but he needs to tone it down just a little bit.
He was the Greg Hamilton if Greg Hamilton was a guitar player.
If he's got personality, but he's just a little too over the top. I don't mind him, and I like his energy, but it needs refinement. But he did. Shinsuke Nakamura comes in, and for whatever reason, this musicians playing his entrance helps his allure. And that's the weirdest thing.
It helps make it realistic.
But then during this entrance, Shinsuke Nakamura, he goes up and he's holding the crown and doing like this big head bang towards the hard cam, and it made it look like the crown was giving him a massive headache. Because
it wouldn't have surprised me if it was.
Because he's got these facials and he's doing that whole thing with and he's feeling the moment, and it looked like he was in pain. And then Ricochet came out, and I like Trevor Mann better.
I love Ricochet's gear. I think he had my favorite gear the whole night.
Yeah, it's fairly simple. And
and it was Captain America-esque.
And then J-Mo comes in, and who would have thought that John Morrison, from when he came in to now, would be so undervalued? Oh, wait, everybody.
Everybody, and the fact that the fucking Miz.
And then, this made no sense. Speaking of things that make no sense, John Morrison's like, Miz, I gotta do this by myself. I can't have you out here. What value is Miz to John Morrison crippled at a Money in the Bank match?
Hey, the Miz can still run over people.
That made no sense. It's like, Miz
Imagine if the Miz attached the motor to the back of his wheelchair and he ran over someone during the match.
No, that made no sense. Miz was of no value here. I'm glad we only saw him briefly. I like Big E's new theme song. I'm glad he's not using the New Day theme, because he needs one of his own.
But the graphics for his entrance fucking suck.
Agreed. I like Rollins' new entrance theme better too. I like it better as Monday Night Messiah theme.
It's better than the Monday Night Messiah theme, but I still want it.
I know, the first one's really good, but they're going to give him a new one. I like this one better than the first one, than the second one. And
plus, they replayed his WrestleMania 2015 moment. By the way, you want to know something cool about that WrestleMania? It was in Santa Clara, right?
Yep.
I lived there.
That is cool.
And I was there.
Hell yeah. Great moment.
It was a good WrestleMania.
That was probably the best WrestleMania we've had in some time.
Well, WrestleMania 31, I still like the one that Daniel Bryan.
Well, that was 30. That was 30 was just as good.
Yeah, but I also like 35.
And 35 was all right as well, I recall. But speaking of champions, Big Daddy Drew, what in the hell is with that fake styrofoam stone bullshit? Don't you dare over gimmick Drew McIntyre. Come on.
They over gimmick Drew McIntyre.
It's just the sword was okay, fine. Sword into the ramp, fine. But into the stone, I'm like, no.
They probably realized that the ramp thing was going to look weird, so they decided to do the stones, which made it look even weirder. And then, did you notice that there was a camera shot of Drew coming in, and for a brief second, you saw a drone camera that was behind one of the cameras as Drew was coming in?
You sure did. And those are coming in. Of course, no Cesaro makes me a sad white knucks, and that's okay. But
Cesaro's never going to be a world champion.
Well, probably not. Did we get a collar and elbow tie-up in this match?
No, we did not, because of Money in the Bank match. What are you expecting?
Well, but there was an opportunity for one here, and they did not take it.
Again, it's a Money in the Bank match. Why would you do a...
Because they set it up like they were going to try to test each other's strength and feel each other out. They set up for the moment. They did the Biggie and Drew knock everybody out, and then it's the two Hosses facing off on each other.
Before they even did that, though, they did this thing with Seth Rollins and John Morris on the outside where they were both arguing who was the Drip Man.
Yeah, the name Johnny Drip Drip, I hate it. Just call him Johnny.
That's just because you don't understand what us millennials, no, Gen Zers like.
Yeah, well, I must not. I must be an old man.
You appreciate the Drip Man.
No, I don't. Because I appreciate clean floors, sir. And I don't appreciate you dripping that all over my floor.
Get out of here with that bull crap.
So in any case, but they clear out this ring, and Biggie and Drew are standing face to face, and they're like, oh yeah, now it's something. But they had this moment where they could have really showcased each other's physical ability, see them feel each other out. They don't even need to do a lot. But don't just have them start hockey fighting. It's just this. If there was ever a time for a collar and elbow tie-up in a Money in the Bank match, that was it. And they decided not to do it. And I was like, okay, I understand, but man, I would have loved it because it would have been just a little teeny hint of wrestling in what is normally a spot fest.
By the way, I just noticed something about Big E. I don't know if I realized this in hindsight. When you compare Big E to the other Hosses on the roster, like Bobby Lashley or Drew McIntyre, he's actually not that big.
He's shorter. He's more compact. But
he's like Rhino, I guess.
Yeah, a good comparison. And
although Big E is much more athletic than Rhino ever was.
Well,
maybe early Rhino, maybe early years.
Yeah,
Rhino.
It's hard to gauge from 2016 on because his ECW stuff and even his early WWE and TNA stuff was pretty good. He was pretty athletic. He was incredibly agile in the ECW days.
But I never watched early Rhino, and that's someone that we have to watch.
Yeah, we'll have to do a match of the week on Rhino here before too long. I like that idea. And then Biggie does, speaking of the other half of this, Biggie's spear out of the ring, every time he does it, scares the piss out of me. Because I'm afraid that man's going to break his neck.
I wish he would stop doing it.
Yeah, it just... And then Shinsuke Nakamura hit a really cool inverted fisherman plex that looked nice.
And Kevin Owens' knee landed right on the ladder, and I feel bad for KO. Because KO died for our sins.
Yeah, that was... Man, he was really not the same after all of that. But he took the same bump at the end that he took in the WrestleMania main ladder match at 32, I think it was. The one that Zack Ryder won.
I'm glad that Kevin Owens was willing to die because that was a great spot. But Jimmy and John Morrison, they do this thing with the ladder brawl, and then John does a flip and turn.
And an eye poke. And the eye poke.
A Roman eye poke.
Loved the eye poke. That was a great touch. And I thought the corkscrew did not look as nice as the eye poke, just for what it's worth.
Oh, the corkscrew was awesome, admit it.
It looked good, but it did not land as well as it should have. Neither did that Samoan drop on the ladder he was trying for.
Fair enough. And Seth Rollins and John Morrison decided to work together for a little bit, and I honestly like that pairing.
The alliance was a really nice way to slow the pace of this match, and this is something the women could not get, is that there needs to be ebb and flow in a match like this. You need a moment where you pause, and the other two, it's not just two people fighting, but you can have a moment where you can kind of set everything still and reset your bearings and get people back where they need to get. And the pairing of these two was perfect to do exactly that.
I don't really think that.
And it wasn't just a moment, though. It was several minutes. Like, it went on for a while, the two of them working together against the rest of the field.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Plus them setting up the ladder for that spot that would be used later.
And then they did that moonsault flip. I forgot who it was who came off the springboard, who did the moonsault onto the two of them. And it was a cool spot, but it was also kind of stupid. Because, wouldn't you obviously hurt yourself just as badly?
That was Kevin Owens.
That was, of course it was. Of course it was.
And then they decided to repay the favor by taking Kevin Owens and flipping him onto the ladder on his back, on the side of the ladder. My God.
There was no need for that. I was like, okay, that's unnecessary. Why would you agree to do that? And B, why would you ever conceive to do that?
Well, here's the thing, is that in every ladder match, there needs to be one guy who takes the most hellacious bumps just to prove how dangerous the match is. And Kevin Owens was that guy for this match.
Yeah, I didn't think it was necessary. I thought that was a little too much. But I was like, brutal nonetheless. But I was like,
And speaking of brutal, Drew McIntyre proceeds to try his lot and knife edge chops John Morrison and Seth Rollins into oblivion and does the fucking stomps.
Drew's strikes make me happy. He is an he knows how to throw a punch and knows how to kick. And that is so valuable in today's wrestling. Today's wrestling needs it. And then we had a SmackDown versus Raw 2007 moment where John Morrison goes up to the top rope and almost loses his balance, stabilizes himself, and then misses.
Did he miss, though?
Yes, he did. He missed almost all of it. He under-rotated so hard, he did not hit it. For the third time, J-Mo missed the shot. And
yeah.
It was just...
It was a good way. It was a good move, but it should have just gone simple.
That's always been my issue with Morrison, though, because he always is difficulty of 10 with an execution of 4. And it's...
Well, that's John Morrison in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And after 4 minutes of them working together, Seth Rollins betrays John Morrison and tries to climb the ladder, which is good.
Yep. And then we got a double Claymore.
No. We had RKOs first.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. We had the Riddle RKO Fest.
Which, by the way, how did you feel about Riddle doing the RKOs continuously?
I know they're doing it because he and Orton are teaming together. No, I got it. I didn't ever play. They look fine. He did all right with them. I didn't care. I didn't really care.
I just wish that he did them better.
Riddle's not my favorite guy in general, so I didn't really care as much about... they could have looked worse. They could have looked like the one Britt Baker did to B. Priestley.
That's fair. And then
horrible.
Drew McIntyre, as you said, goes fucking off. He hits the double Claymore. He hits the future shot DDT. He hits fucking Shay with an electric chair. No, it was not an electric chair. It was that reverse Alabama slam on the ladder.
And it was so impactful that the crowd went, who? The whole time.
The crowd was killing
This double Claymore reaction just emphasized to me, Drew has to turn. At this point, and it's sad because the fans are going to push it, but because the fans are pushing, even though Drew's a tremendous babyface, Drew's going to have to turn.
Drew did a flip from the ring to on top of every other guy and barely got a reaction.
Got nothing. And that's so not fair to Drew for how hard he worked and how great he's been.
I know, and it's just like, he was wiping out the field. He was being a hoss. He was that big guy. I mean, he did the 3-2-1, and that got a pop, I guess.
And then Jinder got bigger lackeys, and he ejected Drew, and when he left with Drew, the crowd cheered.
Half the crowd cheered and half the crowd booed, and that proves the problem with the fans.
And that's why, and once again, why was Fort Worth chosen?
Because it's Texas.
There are better places to go than Fort Worth if this is what they're going to give. It's just, to me, it further proves that I love Drew. I really do, but it's time to turn. It's time to turn.
At the very least, if you're going to keep him babyface, keep him out of the world title picture for a little bit because the fans don't want him in the world title picture.
Yeah, and that was the last we saw of him. So, obviously...
They literally dragged his body off. I will appreciate the fact that they dragged his body off rather than just leave him lying.
And he didn't come back. I appreciate that as well. So, because imagine how much the fans would have booed if Drew came back.
Oh, God, that would have been terrible. That would have been like when Roman Reigns sat out half of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, yeah. That would have pissed the people off. And then the fans really started getting hot for the matchup. Ricochet with a big guy
for the end because they knew that with Drew out, they were going to get close to the finish.
Yeah, and then they did this big sequence of the RKO from Riddle, then the stomp from Rollins, then the go to sleep from Nakamura,
which I kind of popped for no ridiculous reason other than the fact that it was the GTS.
And somehow this Fort Worth crowd showed some restraint and didn't immediately bump into CM Punk chants.
I think it's because CM Punk's been gone for so long that some people don't even know who he is.
And then Johnny uses the drip stick to spray
Nakamura,
and it didn't work. And then Owens does some shitty stunners because that's what Owens does. And then obviously,
at least he got a power bomb. He got the power bomb.
He did. And then Rollins did his buckle bomb to him outside, taking the ladder, and Owens took that bump before. Gigantic big ending, which was awesome, and then Biggie winning was a terrific finish.
Did it look like Kevin Owens landed on his neck?
I thought that he took that bump flatter than he could have. It didn't look like he went straight into the neck, but we'll have to see.
But then again, that's the thing, that Kevin Owens is so good at selling that
hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. The big ending from the ladder from Big E, my God,
that was awesome. Looked great.
That was
looked absolutely terrific. And this match and the finish was right. I mean, people have been begging for Big E to get a shot. I'm glad that he's at least gonna get a shot. I thought that this match, I'm not big on the spot fest and the gimmick matches, but this was on a much different level than what we had seen earlier. But the fact that the women had such a shitty one of these before took the shine off this. It really did.
No, actually, I argue it made this match better. Because that first match was so bad, this match was so much better in comparison.
But wouldn't it be better if there didn't have to be a comparison? You just got the one quality match, and everyone goes, wow, instead of, well, remember the one Money in the Bank match on the show that was good? They'd be like, wow, remember how those guys had a Money in the Bank match? It was crazy. It's what the pay-per-view's titled for. Those guys put everything on the line instead of, oh, remember when we got two of those and one was so bad I almost turned off the television? I see what you're saying, Scott. I get it. But we shouldn't have to compare.
No, but that's the thing, though, is that the men's match had so much more reaction than the women's match. Most of those fans probably forgot about the women's match at the end of the men's because the men's match was so good.
And the women's was so forgettable.
It's just exactly like that's the thing. I don't know if you know this, Sean. I'm still watching the show right now, so I can remember what happened.
I bet. I know that you like to do these things.
Right, but that's the thing, though, is that I'm watching back the women's match, and I'm just remembering how lackluster it is.
Yeah, it's really bad.
But that's the thing, though, that because the men's was so good, it made the women look worse in comparison. And here's the thing, though. Big E has won the contract.
Yep.
He's a face, though. Yep. But you have two heel champions right now, and both of them don't look like they're going to lose the title. Well, assuming Bobby Lashley doesn't lose the title.
Well, yeah.
Who does Big E cash in on? I know he's on Roman's brand, but with the stuff that happened with Bobby Lashley and Kofi, you could make the argument that it would be more naturally fitting for him to cash in on Bobby Lashley.
He cashes in on Goldberg. Goldberg wins the belt. We all hate him for all eternity. Big E saves us from Goldberg.
No. Goldberg beats Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam. Big E tries to cash in, and Goldberg beats Big E too.
Oh, God. Well, I'm trying to give some hope here. I'm trying to give people something to look forward to this guy.
Hogan comes out.
Okay, all right. Well, we saved it with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan says that doesn't work for me, brother, and makes sure to beat Goldberg.
Himself.
And beats Goldberg for it.
He takes the lead of the contract.
That's right.
Cashes it in.
Okay, we've saved the show. Would you like to hear what JoshAgeddon has to say about this?
Well, I'm going to read what he has. Wait, you have the notes? Oh, yeah.
Yes, I do have the notes, sir.
I forgot. My bad.
You get the main event. So now it's time for the only Money in the Bank match of the evening, because that first one is non-canon as far as I'm concerned. If only it was. Seriously, Charlotte and Rhea just showed up the entire rest of the women's roster to the point that there might as well not have even been a women's Money in the Bank match. Agreed. I don't get the whole King Nakamura thing or his guitar-playing friend person. I also don't get why Matt Riddle has a scooter and shoots birds at his toes. I also don't get what Johnny Drip Drip means or signifies. Does he not shake twice after he pees? Somebody answer my question. Yeah. Drew nailing the commentary team with his jacket fucking killed me. I forgot to mention that. That was funny.
Yes, it was. So, anyway, we should mention it that Jimmy Smith, the commentary guy on Raw, he's actually growing on it.
He's not doing bad. He's doing all right.
If only he doesn't have anchors named Corey Graves and Byron Saxton.
I know. I prayed for the day that we get Jimmy Smith and Pat McAfee.
But then that means we have to get Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves.
Nah, just fire all of them. Just keep it Jimmy Smith and Pat McAfee. Every show.
Sure. Why not?
It can't be worse. Well, anyway, I can't say it can't be worse when it comes to this company because they hold my beer. So
because Jerry the King Lawler will show up for the Women's Rumble because he has to get off.
So both John and Seth drip. Seth doesn't shake twice, confirmed. Who potty trained these people? Please give me Drew and Big E one day. That is a big boy match. Drew
Big boy and evil boy.
Drew suplexing Big E made me drip a little, not gonna lie. Big E, stop doing the apron spear. You're gonna kill yourself.
He's not wrong.
When Morrison is serious and tries, he's one of the best. Agreed. Johnny Drip Drip chants in the building. I don't understand, but it's funny.
The drip, by the way, is supposedly that he's so cool that he drips with coolness or something.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
It's a Gen Zer thing.
I'm sure.
You wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't get
You're
it.
a millennial.
I wouldn't
You're
get
an
it.
old-ass millennial.
He's older than me. He's older than any of us.
Ooh.
Johnny Drip Drip, that is. I also need to see Seth Rollins and John Morrison.
Maybe 5 years ago.
If John Morrison got away from The Miz and cast away all of the stuff that he's doing right now, then maybe.
Hey,
Holy fuck, Matt Riddle just got demolished by a ladder. That moonsault, the moonsault Samoan drop on the ladder didn't exactly go as planned, and I bet that hurt. I bet it did. Dear God, that suplex on the ladder on KO was hard to look at. Drew with the chops. That 450 elbow, I think was what he was trying, was super awkward and didn't quite work. Should have just gone for the Starship Pain. That's John Morrison again. We mentioned that too.
Or a freaking frog splash.
Yeah. RKO from Matt Riddle got a huge pop. RK Bro, I guess you could say. Because, give me Riddle versus Nakamura.
I'm not the high on that one.
Double Claymore and I'm dripping again. It's like a goddamn faucet. Inverted Alabama slam on the ladder. Jesus Christ. Matt on this whole Drew and Jinder feud. Well, thank Fort Worth for that. The spots in this match are insane. Matt Riddle going RK Bro crazy is interesting. Kevin Owens is dead.
Kevin Owens died.
Super big ending and a Big E wins. This was an awesome Money in the Bank ladder match. Loved it. I am a fan of this.
I will say that the Fort Worth crowd, they love Big E winning, and that made his moment feel bigger because it should be. Well, Big E has been working hard for this and potentially could be a main event player and be a champion. And that's amazing considering where he was at the beginning of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm proud and I'm happy that he's at this point, and I hope that they don't screw him over.
Please become the 4th ever Black WWE champion.
Make it happen. Well,
Make it happen.
it's main event time. And I knew this match was unequivocally going to be the match of the night. And I was not wrong.
Just waiting to see how they were going to ruin it.
Yep, and honestly, they didn't.
They did.
They did. Well, maybe you think they did. I didn't think it was very much ruined. I thought that there was a couple things that were not great about it, but I thought that this was the best piece of business all night.
Undoubtedly it was. And I'm so glad to have seen it. And I'm so angry at them because they stole a bunch of my National Wrestling shit.
Well, is that why you say they ruined it? Because they took all your stuff?
Did you know that I was potentially planning a Roman Reigns Edge feud and potentially have Christian come back?
I did not. But you can still do different things.
Well, fuck me, because I can't do that match anymore because they fucking took it.
Well, yeah. But, this is the match they should have had at WrestleMania. No disrespect to Daniel Bryan. But I thought this intro package and the story behind this feud was terrific. Roman Reigns, the promos he was doing in the weeks leading up to this almost made me want to watch SmackDown.
No, you should be watching SmackDown.
Because if that's what Roman Reigns is bringing to the table right now on regular television, count me in for him alone.
Well, Edge has also been good.
Sure.
Edge has been fantastic since his return. Is Edge in the best shape of his career, physically?
He might be.
Fucking 8-pack Edge over here.
He looked good. But you know who the star of this whole show, of this matchup, was?
Is it Paul Heyman?
No. Although he was great. You know who the star of this matchup was?
Who?
Charles freaking Robinson. Charles Robinson did everything he could in this matchup to make sure that rules were followed and adhered to. And even when Edge tried to call Charles Robinson off of counting, Charles Robinson's like, nah, dude, it's my job. I've got to count, and kept counting. Charles Robinson was acknowledged in this match by both Cole and Pat McAfee. He did his job. He did it right. The bump he took was good. Little Nate. I watched Little Nate this whole matchup, and I'm like, this man deserves more recognition from WWE for everything he's contributed to the wrestling business. There was no better man that WWE has in their employ to referee this match than Charles Robinson.
Especially since Mike Chioda's been gone for a year and a half.
Yeah, it's sad. Did we get a collar and elbow tie-up in this matchup?
Yes, we did.
We sure did. I would have been stunned if they didn't. So the final count was 3 of 7, and 2 of those don't really count. So it was like a 3 of 5, which isn't bad.
60% still failing.
Isn't bad, though. It could be worse.
Yes.
And one of those deserved a hot start.
The fucking ring intros. Fuck you, Greg Hamilton.
It's honestly the Hamwich. He's the problem. It's not the intros. It's not the procedure. It's the person.
See, considering that they had Money in the Bank before this, they slowed down a lot.
And it was smart, because the crowd needed the time to recover. And all of a sudden, a pro wrestling match broke out on this show. And it was I love the line that Paul Heyman said when Roman Reigns was getting that pep talk and the whole teach him about Sika. And that's kind of what I was saying before about how acknowledging they are of the lineage.
It's the little things that they do that is so perfect. This one match alone shows why WWE is both beautiful and why I hate it.
Yeah, and
why can't it be like this all the time?
Yeah, seriously. That's but here's one thing. Here's one teeny little tiny nit I picked here. Sometimes, and this is another formatting issue I have. This is not a knock on. For the first time, this is not a knock on Michael Cole or Michael whatsoever. But I love the idea of Roman deliberately breaking the count to come back in. But I wish that sometimes these subtleties, like teach him about Sika, being said by him, and Roman breaking the count, I wish just sometimes they didn't make the commentary like go, hey, did you notice that? Did you notice they did that? Did you see they did that? That's part of the story. Did you see it's part of the story? I hate that they do that.
I think they have to do it, though, because it may be lost on some people.
I know. But sometimes
and that's what commentary is supposed to do. They're supposed to tell the story of the match.
I know.
And I know that there are moments where you should just let it rest and let the moment speak for itself. But for some people, you need them to actually talk about it.
Right. And I'm not saying that the talking about the moment, that's not as much the issue as it's the very overt way that they make sure that the commentators are forced to address it. You know?
Now, by the way, how did you like the early portion of this match with Edge focusing on Roman's arm?
What I really liked about it was fine. I liked the idea because, the guillotine, and you want to not be able to use the guillotine so he passes out. And which I'm glad they didn't have Edge pass out, I will also add. So that was really good. But what I liked even more than that was the acknowledgement of Pat McAfee about that earlier damage and adding that and making that continually canon later on as the match went on.
I just kind of wish the Edge did more with it. Like, he did it in the early portion of this match when he was on top until Roman Reigns did that Samoan drop to the floor.
Yeah. And I love Roman Reigns looking out and going, I'm winning. Look what's happening here. I'm winning. And Edge got a little trickle of juice. If only we could have more.
Well, I mean, you get what you have to get.
You get what you get. But then Kevin Dunn just kept going too hard on those extreme close-up shots while they were in that headlock. It was not a good angle, and he just went back to it like 100 times. And it's like, dude, stop. Stop
this goddamn match.
But, and this is what happened here. There was a great flurry hope spot for Edge, and then Roman slowed it back down. These two are professionals. They know what the hell they're doing. This match, it's WWE brand theatric. But even still, for a WWE brand theatricism match, it still was very, very, very good. It told the story.
That you have two of the best wrestlers in the company involved.
Yeah.
Like, Edge, there's a reason why Edge is a Hall of Famer. There's a reason why Edge is one of the greatest of all time.
Yep. And
why Roman is the head of the table. He is the tribal chief. He is the face of WWE right now.
Yep. Yeah. This was great. They did the double big boot. Then they did. The only thing I didn't like as well, I didn't love the off the ropes 1-2.
The off the ropes 1-2 felt a little bit contrived. That was the only problem I had with it. And but a 1-2 there, fine. But, I'm not critiquing the spot itself. It's just the off the ropes was a little much. But then they did the face slam into the Tree of Woe, and Edge just went down. I love how Roman's offense was so heavy. Roman's offense was so impactful, more so than Edge's.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they did that on purpose. Like, everything Roman Reigns did was stiff and hard and punishing.
Yeah. Oh, and he knows how to lay it in. I mean, it's brutal, but he makes brutal work for him. He really does. And then the next spot, Edge pulls out a submission. Do you remember what submission that was?
Well, on commentary, they called it a crossface.
Well, no, before that. Before the crossface. Edge locks in an STF.
No, that's the thing. They called it a crossface. They didn't mention the proper name.
Yes, because they do. But here's the funny thing. I loved the foreshadowing of that. And what's great is that Edge locked it in just as shittily as John Cena does.
Well, obviously he was doing it as a tribute to his former rival.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I noticed they kept talking about John Cena throughout this match.
All night.
They mentioned him several times.
Yep.
No, not all night. Specifically in this match with Edge.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they mentioned The Undertaker too, but they mentioned John Cena with Edge.
They did. Well, because Edge and Cena have such a history, and which is why I think that now that we know what happens after this, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a surprise John Cena versus Edge match at WrestleMania, but we'll talk about that another time. They do the spear, but the catch the spear into the guillotine was great. I thought that was a great counter to Edge's spear.
And then Edge has to survive by forcing them both to go outside the ring, which I loved.
Yep, and then they do the double barricade spot, and they still come back in for the count of 10. That is why I was like, Charles Robinson never stops the count. He never just stands there going, hey guys, what are you going to do? Charles Robinson officiated this match, and because that proper officiating is so few and far between in pro wrestling these days, it has to be acknowledged. Charles Robinson, keep doing what you're doing.
But here's the trick, is that he did stop the count, but only, like, for example, Roman did the barricade spot. Edge rolled back into the ring, and then rolled back out of the ring to break the count and force a new count.
Right.
So Charles Robinson was paying attention to the rules, and he was frustrated with Edge and Roman blatantly trying to change the match because of those circumstances by doing the rolling in and out.
Yep. And when Edge told Charles not to count, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna count." He stopped. He's like, "I can't do that, Edge. You know the rules as well as I do. I got to keep counting." And he went back up to 5 or whatever, and then Edge went back out of the ring to break the count instead, because Edge got annoyed that Charles Robinson was, using the rules. So Lil Nate, I got to give you credit, man, because proper officiating deserves acknowledgement, and you did a great job in this matchup of making sure that the rules were adhered to and applied, and it added to the tone and the quality of the match.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. We thank you, Lil Nate.
Thank you, Lil Nate.
And we will thank you more later.
Yes, we will.
Because Edge tries to attack Roman, and Roman does what is for him a very bad Superman punch.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Wasn't great.
No, he didn't punch him. He went for the motion, but his hand slipped, and his back of his hand hit Edge in the face.
Yeah. Wasn't great.
And then Edge bumps into Charles Robinson, and Robinson starts selling his knee, and this is the part of the match that I hated. You want to know why?
Because we didn't need the Mysterios or the Usos involved just to fight off?
Well, there was that, but where in the hell was the replacement referee? So Charles Robinson obviously can't continue because he holds his knee, and they get a bunch of agents out to grab him, and they take him away.
And then it's like 3 minutes pass before we get another referee.
No, counted it. 5 minutes until the referee comes back.
Wow.
During this time, Roman grabs the chair, breaks off a piece of the chair so he can choke Edge with it. Edge reverses it on him, and then the Usos and Guerrero. Sorry, the Usos and the Mysterios.
Hey, this isn't NWL, sir. This is still WWE programming. Let's not cross-pollinate too much here.
Sorry, the Usos and Mysterios, they come out, they fight off, and Edge the whole time still has Roman in the submission. Roman taps out a little bit because he can't take the pain anymore. And then Seth, dripping Rollins, shows up, super kicks Edge. Finally, the referee comes, only after Roman attempts to attack Edge, and Edge spears Roman.
Yep. Yeah, after the big old ooh-ah that he waited a long time for.
Roman was stalling, like when he was trying to get the piece of the chair, and when he was doing the ooh-ah, Roman was taking his sweet-ass time.
It's WWE's format of matches, milking for time. At this point, I was like, okay, this is going a little bit longer than necessary. It's great still, but it's going on a little bit longer than necessary.
By the way, did you notice that the fans, when Roman did the ooh-ah and Edge did the spear to Roman, they started counting 1, 2, and when they got the 3, Roman kicked out.
Yep.
And then the referee came, and then Roman kicked out for real.
Yeah.
And the best part is that Pat called it.
Yeah. No, he totally did. Well, hey, Roman Reigns isn't going to be beaten by nobody. and then they do the thing with Seth once again costing Edge the matchup, and so Reigns ends up getting the pin off a spear. Edge hits Seth off the apron, which is enough distraction for Reigns to hit the spear. Pinfall, not a guillotine. Love that they did that. Reigns retains. You couldn't give the belt to Edge here, obviously. But this was about as good as this match was going to possibly get.
Yes, it was.
If only we had had a little bit faster of a second referee come in, but they had to get all their shit in then too. Then we had the after. Well, before we get to the afters, what did JoshAgeddon have to say?
First things first, though. They have Seth Rollins get involved and attack Edge, right?
Yep.
And that saves the match for Roman who gets the spear.
Yep.
Don't be surprised if that's a National Wrestling League finish at some point.
Could be. Could be. Stay tuned, folks. Let's see if you remember it happening.
Okay, anyways, let me go and read the notes. Really been looking forward to this match. It has that big match main event feel. Slow start for this match, but these two are milking the crowd and I love it. Roman is so good as a dominating heel. Edge working the arm to get the crossface. It's just face stuff. Surprised Edge would take that Samoan bump on the floor. Nasty bump. It wasn't that dangerous, though.
Not really.
Great, but it wasn't that dangerous.
Yeah. There was nothing in this match that made me concerned for Edge's health.
Right. Like, the spot for me that concerned me the most on the night was probably when Bobby Lashley picked up the poke and ran into the barricade or the ring post. That was scary.
To me, it was Biggie's spear off the apron. That will always freak me out.
Yeah. The "you can't wrestle" chants are such bullshit. I'm pretty sure I heard "yes he can" chants.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Roman with a slick uppercut and a stupid athletic drive. By God, I love Roman.
He is great.
Roman is always dripping too, so I wonder, does Roman shake twice? I mean, imagine shaking that enormous Samoan cock would be difficult, but still.
I wouldn't know.
Because you're not Samoan.
I'm not commenting any further than I wouldn't know.
Keeper elves, you have the word. Edge and Roman.
There are none.
Elfberg.
Get on it, Elfberg.
Elfberg. Sleepy.
Continue.
Edge and Roman managed to convince the entire town that Roman was going to lose to the Edge-O-Matic. That should tell you how great these two are.
Yeah. Yeah?
Edge with an STF. The one commentary calls it STF. Good job. There go the barricades. Ref bump, and here comes the cavalry. Rey Mysterio's off the Usos, and Rollins comes out. Because, of course, he does.
It was what they were
Dan
doing.
Roman. That part didn't excite me.
No, but I think because a lot of people saw it coming. Because they've been setting this up for a minute.
Dan Roman can take a good spear bump. The distraction finish was lame, not gonna lie, but I'm looking forward to Edge vs. Rollins. Overall, a solid main event. And John Cena is here because we need to get easy ticket sales for SummerSlam. Also, Cena kind of looks like a meth baby.
Well, what did you think about Cena's return? Because they Edge and Rollins fight off. Again, a little bit of laziness there. Because they're not even, they just fight off into the arena. At least they don't leave through the ramp. At least they leave through through the crowd. And then, boy, did John Cena get a big ass pop.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But my God, that haircut.
Not the worst one he's had. Remember when he couldn't take his hat off in New York when they did it in Jersey at WrestleMania when he came in and talked smack, I think, at Elias?
Oh, no. Yeah, that was bad. Like, you could see his bald spot. No, this pop was amazing. I just hate that he worked me.
Honestly, it was great to see him back. It was great to see him back. The pop that Fort Worth gave him was monstrous, reminiscent of Madison Square Garden in 2008. That's how big it felt. But, God, what a hysterical... Can you imagine proposing this to John Cena? I want you to go in, do your in-ring entrance. I want you to do the "You Can't See Me" to Roman Reigns and pose as the show goes to black.
Well, he did a promo afterwards.
Not that we saw. Not that I saw.
See it. No, you could see it on the YouTube video.
Well, the Roman Reigns did. Roman Reigns
got one word in, and then Cena came in, 1 sentence, whatever. And then John Cena did a promo after the cameras went off, but we saw it on YouTube.
Yeah, see, I did not stick around for that. Once the show went off, that I finished the show. So John Cena, I'm sure he cut a great promo. I'll watch it at some point, but that pretty much closes the show here. It was a shitty start, a good middle, and a pretty damn good finish to this show, I thought.
So we have 2 of John Cena versus Roman Reigns and Edge versus Rollins, but can we please get that Teddy Long match special?
Somebody's got to go one-on-one with The Undertaker.
Then someone could go one-on-one with The Undertaker, and we get the tag match, and we're all good. SmackDown 2010, baby.
That's right. So here, I'm going to say JoshAgeddon's closing thoughts before we get to the ratings and things like this and the final closing things that we're going to say. Overall, this was a very good show in my opinion. Outside of an abysmal opener, everything else was good to awesome. Match of the night easily goes to Charlotte and Rhea, and the men's ladder match was absolutely nuts as one would expect. But I wonder, when will WWE stop relying on the past? Charlotte is champion again. Meth Baby Cena is coming back for another main event with Roman at SummerSlam. Allegedly, Goldberg will be challenging Lashley at SummerSlam. One day,
allegedly, it is.
Now we know for sure it is. One day, this over-reliance on the past is going to bite WWE in the ass, and I can't wait to see it. But back to Money in the Bank 2021, I'll give this show a 7.5. Opening match sucked rotten ogre balls, and I have some issues with the booking. Other than that, this was a solid show. Now I have some dripping of my own to attend to. Heads towards Brother's Room as heavy metal cover of Sweet Home Alabama starts playing, y'all. Alrighty, folks. It's now that time. We're coming back to me. And I'm not going to be here alone. And I am not here alone because I am very shortly going to be joined by the Bay Area Brawler himself, Skylar Greenberg. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to bring him up. Oh, Skylar, where are you? You may not be able to hear me.
Hello, folks.
Hello, sir. And now we are here at the very end of our show, and we're just here to give our ratings and our final thoughts. So this is not going to take very long. And Sky, I'm going to let you start, because now that we've once again relived the nights of Money in the Bank 2021 for the third time, what do you feel coming out of this match as far as the overall takeaway from Money in the Bank?
Well, now that I've had some time to think about it and process what I've just seen,
Yes.
Money in the Bank in WWE,
Yes.
and also from the professional wrestling world in general,
Yep.
there's excitement in wrestling that's definitely out there.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
It's really interesting. There's definitely a lot of stuff that can come out of this that is exciting. Like, I'm looking forward to Roman Reigns versus John Cena.
As am I.
Edge Seth Rollins is going to be good.
Should be, if the finish isn't terrible.
If the finish isn't terrible. It's just that for every good match we get, we also get a bad match, like Bobby Lashley Goldberg.
Yeah. Whatever Drew and Jinder is going to turn out being.
That's going to be fine. The one that concerns me, what the hell is going to happen with the Raw Women's title?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm afraid.
But again, I came out of the show more enthusiastic than I came in going into it.
Sure. Which I guess does accomplish the point.
There's a lot of fun things that I'm looking forward to, and SmackDown is arguably the best wrestling show right now in wrestling.
Fair.
It's definitely going to be something that it almost piqued your interest to the point where you thought about tuning in, and that means that they're doing something right.
There's something...
So overall...
Yeah, something
yes.
over there's going well.
So, with that in mind, I'm going to give Money in the Bank a 6.5.
6.5. Okay. And that's fair. And I think that pretty much, it's a very positive outlook. And I think it is a good way. They are shaping up SummerSlam fairly well. I do very much agree with that. Here's my deal with this. Of course, it had the abysmal match, bottom 10 of my all-time matches, the Women's Money in the Bank. That gets worse the more I think about it. But there was a good middle to this match. There was more logic on this show than one would have thought, even if the format is what the format is. So you've got to give WWE points for that as well. There is a build here that is halfway decent. It's not terrific, but it's halfway decent. And there's still intrigue, like you said. But even with this crap start, good middle, and great finish, this show kind of just reminded me of what it was like pre-pandemic. As far as there's a little bit, it's a smorgasbord of all different shapes and sizes. It's either garbage, absolute dreck, absolute just bottom of the barrel, like you never want to watch wrestling again, you want to put a paper bag over your head in shame, bad, or incredibly captivating. And they put both and every spectrum in between on the same show. And it really makes it frustrating to be a fan of something like this. And it just shows that even though they have fans, and fans do help the aesthetic of pro wrestling, having fans back in no way fixes any of WWE's problems.
I agree. Like, this is the hard part about this show. It's just the fact that we have the good and the bad on the same show. If they had more of the good and less of the bad, then I would be way more enthusiastic.
Yeah, me too. And you wonder, you said it before, Sky, on this show, that you wonder if that's done deliberately, like having the women's match be that bad. Do you think it was a precursor, almost deliberately knowing the women were going to be bad in order to make the men's match look good? You know, you wonder how much of this is actually thought out with that kind of depth. But as far as a rating is concerned, I'm going to split the difference between you and JoshAgeddon. I'm going to go solid 7. It was good. It had good moments in it. There was, I would say, an equal parts good, equal parts bad. So that at least, you know, you'd think that's a 5, but I would still give it more than that because, like you said, you still end up with a better feeling coming out of it than you did going in.
Yeah, you did. And wrestling has a lot of interesting stuff. Have you seen the rumor mill?
Yeah, so Punk is apparently coming back. Daniel Bryan is coming back, both to AEW, I should say.
Which is
allegedly
disappointing.
Allegedly.
I
Rock.
just hope to God that Daniel Bryan does not do the fucking shin kicks like Sting did.
Yeah, don't even get me started about that. That's a story for another time. We will talk about that. We will talk about that in the news of the week next week. So stay tuned for that. And which leads me to my big announcement. Oh man, I totally almost forgot about this. Our big announcement before we close, starting in August, which I believe it will be potentially the first or the 2nd of August.
It will be the 2nd of August.
The 2nd of August. With any luck, we are going to be moving the time of the show to Monday nights. The reason why is A, we are getting better returns on viewership. Thank you very much for tuning in. It seems to me Monday is a better time for you than Friday nights because everyone wants to party on Friday nights. So we are going to move to Monday nights because we fared better when we did that to catch you up on the week that we missed. So we're going to make that a full-time position. See how we do competing with Raw. Personally, Sky, I think we're going to do all right.
The only trick, though, is how do we do pay-per-views that are on Sundays?
Well, the way we're going to do that is that you will have to wait until the week after. Unfortunately, that's how it's going to go.
Unless we do live pay-per-view reaction on that Monday.
That's a thought. That is a thought. So
but you will only find out if you subscribe.
That's right.
Like and share the Court Martial Podcast on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever you use.
That's right.
Use whatever. Double AA that subscribe button. STF that like button, even though John Cena's STF sucks.
Yeah, but it seems to work, at least by wrestling logic. So whatever it takes, kayfabe or no, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for joining us here in this 2-hour and 24 live stream slog of a Money in the Bank review. Skylar, thank you for hopping on the end here. I will see you next week for the final show of July.
I will see you for the final show of July. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to continue watching the NHL draft.
Hell yeah, Sky. Hope them Sharks get somebody that can actually make a difference.
Well, they didn't break my heart this time.
But you never know. You never know when things are going to turn around. And as such, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you right after this commercial